All right. Good evening. We are ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV, Cable Channel 2. You can watch this meeting live on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the Go Vegas app. The Planning Commission meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. And for the millions of people watching, these proceedings will be rebroadcast, if you missed it, on KCLV and the web Saturday after the meeting at 10 a.m., Monday at midnight, and the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Can we have the roll call, please?
Chair Cherry,
Present.
Vice Chair Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Schlotman,
Present.
Commissioner Rogan,
Present.
Commissioner Walsh,
Present.
Commissioner Kasama,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor.
Present.
Thank you, Chair. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I call your attention to the information printed in the agenda concerning our actions and the appeal and review process if appropriate. I do see some agendas over there on the wall if someone needs to grab to follow along. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We'd appreciate you adhering to these rules so you can have a smooth meeting. Item number 4, all comments made under this item for specific action items will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda? No. Thanks, sir. We will move on to item number 5. Vice Chair, can we get a motion on the minutes?
Okay, there's a motion to approve the minutes of the September 10th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries. Moving on to our housekeeping items, are there any items that the commissioner, staff, applicants, or member of the public would like to pull forward for action?
Mr. Chairman, staff has a few housekeeping items. Nicole Edos for the record. Just for your awareness, one motion, one vote, item number 8, project number 24-0387 has a blue sheeted staff report in your packet. We have added comments from the Department of Aviation, and these comments are informational only and do not change staff's recommendation. The applicant is requesting to hold item number 9, project number 24-0395 to the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. The applicant is requesting to hold item number 20, project number 24-0190 to the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. The applicant is requesting to hold item number 27, project number 24-0305 to the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. And staff is requesting to hold item number 35, project number 24-0410 to the December 10th Planning Commission meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish to speak on these items? Please come up to the microphone. I need your name and address for the record.
It's in reference to item number
Can I
27.
get your name for the record, please?
My name is Timothy Murphy.
Thank you, Timothy.
Address is 7900 Kiowa Circle, 89149, Las Vegas.
Thank you.
We weren't notified of this possible setting aside until about 10 o'clock this morning. We've got several people here that wanted to hear this and that are opposed to the project. You've got, we faxed over 258 opposed signatures that's on file with your office. And we would really like to hear it, or at least have an opportunity to see how many people here are opposed to it.
This was on item number 27.
27.
Okay. And So I think it's going to stay on the housekeeping for abeyance vote. But if there was someone here tonight that came that can't make it the next night and wanted to go on record for 2 minutes with their comments, I'd be willing to do that. But it is going to go on the housekeeping for
Yeah,
an
we would
abeyance
like to
vote.
make comments on it, and also on the sign that was posted, it was very misleading because it says 25 residential compact lots for residential.
Okay, so before you...
But they're rentals.
Before you get into the comments, Mr. Murphy, so, like I said, it's going to go forward with the vote, but after, as far as the housekeeping agenda for abeyance, but like I mentioned, if you can't make it to the next meeting and you want it to go on record now, and I'll kind of omit that time, to the future one, or just hold your stuff until the next meeting and come back and when there's
Can
an
any
actual
of the other
discussion.
people make a comment on it?
Yeah, listen, what we want to do is, again,
Go through the agenda first, or
yeah, we
come
want,
back
we
to
want to
this?
get through the agenda, and I also want to make sure that if there's someone that can't make it for the
There
next
is.
meeting.
There's somebody here
if-
from the
And they
company.
want to go on record today, I'd be willing to allow them to do that.
Okay, so we'll come back to this later?
Yeah, if you don't mind, thank you. Yeah, okay. Mr. Murphy, before you get back to your seat, so now is the appropriate time, I'm just being told by the director here, that is to hear those comments during this portion that we've opened up. So I'd like to give you 2 minutes if you want to go, if you can't make it to the next meeting, you want to put your records on now, your comments on the record now. I'd let you do that.
Well, first of all, just to give you a little bit of the background of this property. In '07, it was zoned acre and a quarter ranch estates. With, at that time, Steve Ross was the city councilman. He approached us and several people in the area and said, I have a client that, or a person that wants to make this office professional. We went through that process. He said, I'm going to approve it, so you need to get with the developer. We got with the developer, and this was through Steve Ross and his assistant, Sheila Lambert. The company, the people that owned it was England LLC. We went and met with them. We came up with a nice single-story office professional building that had greenage all the way around it, had pony walls, not full walls around it, to match the existing commercial next to it.
Mr. Murphy, just so you know, I'm giving everyone 2 minutes, and respectfully, we do have the backup of like what it went
Okay.
through from office to commercial to what this application is today.
Right, well-
So if you want to give us the reasons of why you don't think this specific application will work today, that'll be the best thing for us.
First thing
in the moment.
of everything is it's going to, you're requesting to change the master plan. I'd ask you, what was the master plan for if it wasn't to be held in the residential areas? That we've got a 3-acre parcel in the middle across the street from Painted Desert. All the homes in the area are 500,000 plus, Painted Desert, millions, and you want to put they're asking for 2-story, 3,000 and 4,000 square foot lots, 25 of them on a 3-acre parcel. It just doesn't work in that area. We've got homes that we've kept up. Our value brings value to them, but they don't bring any value to us. And that's the complaint of the neighborhood. Like I said, you've got 258 signatures on the petitions to oppose this. And if anybody else wants to talk,
We appreciate you coming up, Mr. Murphy. Is there anyone else that wants to speak because they can't make it to the next meeting and would like to go on the record? Please. Thank you. Just need your name and address for the record, sir, and if you're for or against.
Fabian Chapel, 5611 North Cimarron Road, 89149. I own the property that's right backs up to where they're proposing the build. I bought the property about 6 years ago or so, and I bought it with the ideal that they were putting either light commercial or office buildings back there. Now, come to find out, they're putting in 25 new neighbors that are, and it's not even the neighbors that's so much, it's like what he was saying, is a lot of us are homeowners there. Homeowners tend to have more pride in their homes than versus rentals, and I'm not trying to beat up rentals, but at the same time, it's going to devalue all the property, plus having office or even commercial back there be one neighbor. Now it's 25 neighbors that are going to be back there, and I kind of bought the property, like he was saying with the master plan, that they were going to put in light office or even commercial would have been, you know what I mean? So it's kind of concerning, and the, you know, the ideal of the property values is just an obvious thing, but I wrote a letter and sent it in to you guys, and so that's kind of my stance on it.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming up and putting your comments on the record.
Thank you.
Okay, not seeing anyone else, I will, so we do have 3 microphones, so if you want to put your record, please come up to the microphones. If you can't make it to the next meeting, you want to go on the record now, now's the time to come on up.
Good evening, Elena Gasca, ELENA-GASCA. I'm at 8440 West El Campo Grande, 89149. I'm approximately, I don't know, 3/4, maybe half a mile away from this property. And, you know, years ago, I've been in my home, I don't know, 16, 17 years. I live on a half an acre. A lot of these people here also live on half acres, you know, just large lots, large homes. We take pride in our homes, and I believe that a community of 2-story rentals will devalue our property. Not just that, but it'll bring a lot of unnecessary traffic to that area as well. And we'd like to preserve our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is mainly consists of single-story homes. There are a couple of communities that have 2-story, if I'm correct. But I'd like to, if you would, please reconsider that application to change the zoning. And like Mr. Murphy said, there is a master plan, and it would be nice to continue to have that security of the master plan. Thank you.
Thanks for coming up. See one more person. How you doing? And his doggy.
Barney. Good evening, commissioners. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rinolfo Beltihar.
Could you
I'm a
spell,
retired Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy.
could you spell your last name for us, please?
My last name is Beltihar, B as in boy, E-L-T-E-J-A-R.
Thank you, Mr. Beltor.
I'm a retired Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy. My property is at the boundary of this proposed construction in this Leggett Road and road. My complaint is first is the unforeseen problem that it will bring into this private road that we have. The Kiowa Circle is a private road right behind this proposed property. There will be an undoubtable increase of traffic on that property. I can see it tonight already. The other one is the aesthetic problem that it will bring into my property, because you look at these rental properties that they're proposing, it has an adverse impact on my property. And those are the two reasons why I'm proposing this property. It will have an adverse effect on the marketable value of my property. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Okay, seeing nobody else, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair for a motion on the housekeeping.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. starting with item 924-0395 VAC1. Applicant requests this item to be held in abeyance until the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. Item 2024-0190, applicant requests this item to be held in abeyance to the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. Item 24-0305, applicant requests this item to be held in abeyance until the November 12th Planning Commission meeting. And item number 35, 24-0410 VAR1, staff requests this item to be held in abeyance until the December 10th Planning Commission meeting. Motion on the floor to approve the housekeeping items.
Thank you very much. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries. Moving on to the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda. The following are items that may be considered in one motion, one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items with staff recommendations of approval. All public hearings and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that removed from this part of the agenda. Item number 7, 240347 MSP1, applicant owner BRFI Las Vegas LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for an existing commercial shopping center on 11.11 acres at southwest corner of Bonanza and Nellis Boulevard, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. Item number 8, 240387, applicant King's Church, Las Vegas, owner Twin Lakes Baptist Church, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on 10 acres at the northwest corner of Westcliff Drive and Rainbow Boulevard, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Related item 8A, 240387, VAC1, petition to vacate U.S. government patent easements, and related item 8B, 240387 SDR1 for proposed one-story, 10,200 square foot church house of worship and 3,220 square feet of multipurpose building with a waiver of building orientation requirements. Item number 10, I see 9 has been obeyed. Yep. Item number 10, 240404, applicant owner CDMS Las Vegas LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project requests on 3.66 acres at 490 South Wallapai Way, Ward 2. Staff recommends approval. Related item 10A, 240404 GPA1 from H to SC. Related item 10B, 240404N1 from R3 to C1. Related item 10C, 2404 SUP1 for proposed assisted living apartment use. Related item 10D, 240404 SUP2 for proposed senior citizens apartment use, And finally, related item 10E, 240404 SUP3 for proposed 199,500 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with 11,900 square foot outdoor recreation area with waivers to allow a 0-foot distance separation from an existing school and individual care center licensed for more than 12 children, and 365-foot distance separation from a city park where 400 feet is required. Item number 11, 240406, applicant Dil Flores, owner EAE Property LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project on 0.48 acres at 1522 and 1524 South Main Street. Staff recommends approval. Related item 11A, 240406 SUP1 for proposed 3,000 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with a 900 square foot outdoor patio area. Related item 11B, 240406 SDR1 for proposed outdoor patio area addition in a parking lot reconfiguration. Item number 12, 240416 VAC1, applicant Greystone Nevada LLC, owner Centennial Hills Mob Owners LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for petition to vacate U.S. government patent easements, a drainage easement, and a site visibility restriction zone also known as an SVRZ, easements generally located at the northwest corner of Durango Drive and Grand Montecito Parkway. Ward 4, staff recommends approval. Item number 13, 240418, SUP1, applicant Zion Invest LLC, owner 3140 Valley View LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for proposed 2,040 square foot massage establishment with a waiver to allow a 0-foot distance separation from another massage establishment where 1,000 feet is required at 3120 South Valley View Boulevard, Suite 8. Staff recommends approval. Item number 14, 240420, SUP1, applicant owner Timothy and Gabriel Simmons Hollingsworth, for a possible action on the land use entitlement project request for a proposed animal keeping and husbandry use, 3 horses, at 7690 Cowboy Trail, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Item number 15, 24034, SUP1, applicant Jasmine Diaz, owner Hashung Rahuni Family Trust et al., for possible action on land use entitlement project request for proposed 6,790 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with a waiver to allow a 240-foot distance separation from an individual care center licensed for more than 12 children where 400 feet is required at 625 North Land Boulevard, Suite number 140. Staff recommends approval. And this was noticed as a public hearing. Would anyone like to be heard on any of these items? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will make a motion for approval on one motion, one vote, items 7 through 15.
Thank you. Before I vote, I just want to quickly disclose on item 11 that I have property within the notification area. It doesn't affect me to greater or lesser. I will be voting on it tonight.
And thank you, and that is with the exception of item 9.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kusama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, Peter Lowenstein for the record. Items number 7, 11 through 15 are final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Items 8 and number 10 will be heard at the November 6, 2024 City Council meeting. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Moving on to the public hearing items. Item number 16 that's been tabled and re-notified, 230661, applicant Schulman Development, owner Union Pacific Railroad, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request at 5.9 acres at the northeast corner of Charleston Boulevard and Grand Central Parkway, Ward 1. Staff recommends approval. Item number 16A, tabled re-notification 230661 SUP1 for proposed 4,452 square feet alcohol on-premise use. Related item 16B, 230661 VAC1, also tabled and re-notified. A petition to vacate the public right-of-way generally located at the northeast corner of Charleston Boulevard and Grand Central Parkway, and a public utility easement generally located at the southwest corner of Iron Horse Court and Grand Central Parkway on the west side of Grand Central Parkway. And finally, related item number 16C, 230661 SDR1, for proposed 6-story, 254-room hotel and 6-story medical office with waivers of Appendix F interim downtown Las Vegas development standards that was also tabled and re-notified. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, Corey Stewart, Senior Planner for the record. The proposed development includes 78,000 square feet of office space, 254 hotel rooms, and a restaurant with alcohol. It is consistent with the objectives of the City of Las Vegas 2050 Master Plan and the Vision 2045 Downtown Las Vegas Master Plan, Civic and Business District. While waivers are requested of Appendix F downtown design standards, staff finds the development can be conducted in a harmonious and compatible manner with the surrounding area. Therefore, staff recommends approval of all entitlements. Please note additional documents of support were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening. Liz Olson, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant and future developer. This site is located right on the corner of Charleston and Grand Central. You may remember I was before you back in May with a mixed-use development on this site for apartments with the commercial uses. We've pivoted a bit, and we would like to now propose a hotel and commercial development on this site. The layout remains very similar to what was proposed back in May. We have a large building on the west side with parking in the center. The units around that parking garage will now be those hotel units. We still have our commercial with the tavern here in the front. And we have changed the building on the east side of the site from apartments to medical offices. Based on our location to the medical district, we think this would be a really great use on this site and really bring an asset to the overall community. We did remove our access off of Grand Central per our discussions with Public Works, so we still have our main entrance off of Iron Horse. We have increased our building heights by 1 story up to 6 stories, 95 feet and 85 feet. This would be our hotel and commercial, and this down here would be our medical. We appreciate staff's recommendation and continuing to work with us on this, and we recommend, or are thankful for your time and appreciate any comments that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and quickly disclose before I go to Commissioner Rogan that I do have property right on the edge of the notification area. I just saw it just now, and I will be voting on this. It doesn't affect me in a greater or lesser. So, Commissioner Rogan?
Thanks. I have no issue with the project. I didn't have any issue with it before, and understand that certain conditions have changed that necessitate these changes. I think that the design of the hotel and medical building are consistent with kind of what you did before. The uses are a bit different. So I'm ready to make a motion for approval, subject to staff's conditions, which you accept, Ms. Olson?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is for approval of agenda item 16, project number 23-0661, subparts A through C.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kusama,
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to the November 6, 2024 City Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 17, abeyance renotification 240056 VAR1, applicant Eve Aruz Lazo, owner Lionel Castillo and Eve Guadalupe Aruz Lazo, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow an existing residential accessory structure and a proposed residential accessory structure that do not conform to the Title 1906 development standards for setback separation from the main building and building size, and a proposed front yard wall fence that exceeds the maximum height standards on .19 acres at 2105 Houston Drive, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is the result of an open code enforcement case. No evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance related to the physical characteristics of the property has been presented to warrant the requested variance. As such, the hardship is self-imposed, and therefore staff recommends denial of the variance. Please note additional documentation of support was received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Maite Zamora, daughter to Eva Rouse and Leonel Castillo, property owners to 2105 Houston Drive.
Did you say last name was Zamora? Could you just spell it for me, please?
Yeah, Z as in Zulu, A, M as in Mary, O-R-A.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've been here 2 other times, so just to recap everything. Right now, as it stands, we have a casita structure in the back, a patio cover for it, a shade structure. We have a patio cover next to the house that was already there when we bought the property, a carport, and then there is an 8-foot fence going along the property line towards the backyard. Given that there was so much going on, of course, over the last 2 meetings, we decided to change things up a bit. So we are going to demo the shade structure that is attached to the casita, and then the stage structure that is in the backyard, and of course the carport. Given that these 3 structures obviously were not made with the appropriate materials, we're just going to demo them, and so then it's less to worry about, like we spoke in the last meeting. The new proposed plan would be to keep the casita, of course, the 8-foot fence In the back, we would obviously have to use new materials like wrought iron gate that matches the one in the front of the house, which is kind of like a coral color. So it would be 6-foot brick going and then 2 foot of wrought iron gate. And that was the reason. The reason for that, of course, was because we keep getting broken into. And now the neighbors are having problems with the same thing, so we would like to keep that 8-foot fence. I'm not too sure if we needed a variance for that. Last time when we spoke with you guys, it wasn't too sure whether the 8-foot was allowed or not, so I'm bringing that up just in case. And then, of course, we would need the variance for the setbacks on the casita, since on this side of the property, there's only 2 inches between the wall and the casita wall, and then on the other side, there's only 1 foot in between. So we would like a variance of either 0 to 2 feet on this side, 0 to 1 foot on this side. And then if we need that variance for that fence along the sidewall, we would appreciate that. And of course, for the carport, we would be rebuilding that to match, I believe we're going to be using aluminum, something along those lines, and then it would be the same color as the gates and the wrought iron gate going on the side and in the front yard. We would just like to ask for a variance for it to be a 0-foot setback.
Okay, thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Schlottman.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. And thanks for working with me so much. I know you've been here a couple times, and we held this in advance the first time because there's so much going on in the property, and we're able to get Jerry from the Building and Safety Department and the guys from the shift program from the city, and we're able to finally work through all these details. But we looked at them. Some of the structures that you're taking down are just need to come down because they weren't built with permits and not going to be able to be permitted. But I think what we finally come to a conclusion on was something that looks compatible with all your neighbors, and I think your property will look a lot better. So thanks for working with us, and I'll be supporting this item. Just have a question for staff. The fence wasn't noticed on this, for this particular agenda item, but what's the maximum height allowed on a side fence?
Through you, Ms. Chairman, I'm looking at the conditions right now. We did advertise for a front yard wall fence that exceeds the maximum height allowed by Title 19. In our conditions, we have it as 7 feet tall, so if we need to change that to 8 feet, we can.
It would be for the side fence?
For the side, yes, we can change that to 8
Okay.
feet, yeah.
Would you like to read what the amendment?
The new condition would read, it would be condition number 5, and that would read, a variance is hereby approved to allow an 8-foot tall front yard wall fence with a 5-foot solid wall base along the west property line.
But I don't think I'm looking for an 8-foot tall fence in the front yard. It's the 8-foot on the side yard.
I believe, from what I understand, it extends out to the front property line. So once it encroaches on that front 20 feet, it then becomes in the front yard. And that's the norm, because the side portion is allowed to be 8 feet tall. But the front yard setback is 20 feet. So once that side wall goes all the way to the property line, that 20 feet from the front property line back, that first 20 feet needs to be only 5 feet.
So I should note, so the part that runs from the back of the property up to where the beginning of the actual house in the backyard, that would be 8 feet. The rest of it, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. So from the back of the property all the way to where the front house stands, that all would be 8 feet. However, this small portion right here, that is about the same height as the front, which today we measured that, and that ends up being about 4.5 feet. So it's a lot shorter. So if need be, we were proposing for the back to be 8 feet and then the front to be 6 feet, but if need be, we can drop this down to 4.5 to go along with the front.
Okay, but right beyond your microphone, can you tell me what What's the height of the elevation of the fence on the piece of paper you have in front of you? No, down below?
Yeah, so this would be the back that would go all along here, that's 8 feet. And then this other piece that would go right here, it's 6 feet.
Okay, but we conditioned it at 5 feet, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, through you, yes, we can change that condition to 5 feet.
Or 6? Is there a way that we can, I'm trying to not complicate this too much, is there a way that we can make sure that that 6 applies to that fence in the front yard that is along the side and not at the front of the house?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, through you, so you want the entire length of the wall to be 6 feet, or just the front portion?
I'm fine with the very back corner all the way to the front of the
Okay.
house being the 8 feet. And if they desire to have the 6 feet from the front of the house to the very front property line, which is along the side, I would be fine with that. But the part that's directly in front of the house was the part that that complies with the 5 feet currently.
Yeah, that's 4.5 currently.
I would just like to make sure that we maintain the city standard on the side that's facing the street.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Chairman, so the very front, she's in compliance, so that's 5 feet or less. There's the section that she shows here on her elevation that is along the side, but from the front property line to the house that she's showing as 6 feet.
Correct.
Do we want to go ahead and keep the 6 feet for that section?
Yes.
Okay, then condition of approval number 5 will be edited to read, "A variance is hereby approved to allow a 6-foot-tall front yard wall fence with a 5-foot solid wall base along the west property line."
Thank you. That addresses it perfectly. And you agree with that condition?
Yes, so then it would be 5-foot brick and then 1-foot wrought iron gate, just so I understand?
It allows up to 5 feet solid and 1 foot open with a wrought iron on the top.
Okay.
You could also make it 3 foot solid and 3 feet of open wrought iron on the top.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Mr. Chair, ready to make a motion? Please do. On item 17, abeyance re-notification 24-0056 VAR1, move to approve subject to staff's conditions and modified condition as read into the record.
Great. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kusama,
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 18, abeyance re-notification 240301, applicant Sharon Properties LP, owner Sharon Properties LP et al. For possible action on the following land use entitlement project requests on .30 acres at 1711 Fremont, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. Related item 18A, abeyance re-notification 240301ZON1 from T4C to T4N. Related item 18B, abeyance re-notification 240301 SDR1 for proposed 22-unit bungalow court development with waivers of the Title 1909 Form-Based Code Development Standards. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed bungalow development is overdeveloped as proposed. This is evident by the requested waivers of Title 19 requirements regarding parking, setbacks, and trash enclosure placement. The associated rezoning request to T4 neighborhood is considered to be spot zoning, where a parcel is rezoned to benefit an owner for use incompatible with the existing surrounding land uses. The adjacent properties fronting Fremont Street are all zoned T4 corridor, which don't allow the proposed bungalow building type. Therefore, staff recommends denial of both entitlements. Please note an additional document of protest was received since publication. Please also note there are blue sheet plans and a blue sheet staff report in your packet with corrected conditions of approval for the site development plan review. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get your name and address to the record, please?
Yes.
My name is Austin Chen. My address is 6030 Jones Boulevard. I'm here representing the applicant for this case. So this case is we're proposing a 22 units well-designed tiny homes project, generally locating close to Fremont and the 17th. Over here, we have 22 tiny homes project, and the only reason we are requesting this rezoning is because the building type. Other than that, we won't actually need to have the rezoning. And since this project is so close to the downtown area, this will actually help the city to achieve its 2050 master plan goal by providing more housing units and housing types. And besides that, we also held a neighborhood meeting for this case, and nobody showed up. And also, I talked to the direct neighbor to the west, the owner of these motel homes, Mr. Schwabel, and we discussed this case a little bit since he will be our direct neighbor, and he seems to be okay with our project, and I already sent everything to him. As far by now, I didn't hear anything like protest of this case from him. So let me quickly go through our design really quick. As I mentioned before, these tiny homes project, they are well designed, and as you can see, we have multiple architecture over here, and we have lights, we have colorful doors here, and also we will also have a fence to protect this property. Let me put out a site plan really quick. We will also have a fence here and here to protect the people who live here. And also, let me show you the architecture really quick. So as you can see, this is a really well-designed tiny homes project compared to the surrounding area. For the area, it is not the best area of the city. As you can see from this Google map, we have some homeless tents over here and some trash, and this area could be a little bit dangerous at night. So we believe if we can have this project built out, we can attract more people to the site, and it will actually bring more activity to the site, and eventually will help the overall area become a more become a safety area for the pedestrian to walk around and enjoy the downtown vibe. In addition of that, I want to mention about the site location. It is really close to a bus stop over here. It's about 290 feet from the bus stop to our site. And this project overall is designed for the people who doesn't rely on the vehicles to do their daily activities. It's more like designed for the local artists or the local tourists who enjoy the downtown lifestyle and who will want to go to downtown, just walk to downtown, or maybe take the bus, so they don't actually need to rely on the vehicle. So therefore we think the parking issue shouldn't be an issue for the people who choose to live there. And for the price for this community, this will be a really well-designed community, but we will try to make it as affordable as we can. This will not be something like a really fancy luxury apartment like in the downtown area. So for some regular people, if they want to live close to downtown and they can afford those luxury apartments, they can choose to live here. So overall, that's a really quick run through of this project. I'm happy to answer any questions or any comments you might have.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this item? If I could just have you come up to the microphone and give your name and address for the record, if you're for or against. Give you a couple minutes to tell us why.
Hi, my name's Doug Cayley, 1544 Solando Drive, 89117.
Thank you.
I'm here, you had a picture of Google, I'm here with South Cove Apartments, so we're just a block and a half away from the bungalow that he's looking at. And I guess my biggest thing is just parking. I understand that they're talking about they're riding the bus and walking. You're still 17 blocks from the plaza, or Fremont Street. So I question that, and if you have friends over, the parking's gonna be an issue. The backside of their property backs up to the alley he was talking about with homeless people. We call the marshals every week. The marshals are down there clearing out the alley just because they're doing drugs there. And the school is right next to the property he's talking about, just maybe 200 feet from there is school. So we get the principal of the school and South Cove Apartments. We call the marshals weekly just to clear out that back area. But my biggest thing is just parking. We have a lot of troubles with people parking on our property. We're towing cars every day. I just see, 22 more bungalows. And I'm not sure if it's a rental or a weekly or a monthly rental. Or...
If you could, Doug, if you could speak to us, just so it's on the record.
Okay,
Thanks.
okay, yeah, okay.
Appreciate it, thanks.
So I'm not, I just got this, so I got to know they canceled the last 2 times, so, but my boss just wanted me to make sure that that the parking is going to be an issue.
Appreciate you
around that
coming out
area.
and your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Austin, if you wanted to come back up and speak about the parking for a minute, you're welcome to.
Thanks so much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks so much for the gentleman's comments. We totally understand the concern about the parking. But just by the nature of this lot, let me show you really quick. It is really a narrow lot. So if we do provide enough parking, then the whole site will be just a parking lot. And even if we do that, this will not be really a well-designed parking lot, because over here we have a really busy street here and the alley over here. If we even redesign this whole thing as a parking lot, then this might create some issue in the future if the street getting really busy. So back to the homeless issue the gentleman mentioned about. So he was totally right about homeless issue, and also I talked to the owner to the north, to the west. Mr. Schwab also mentioned that homeless actually causing him some trouble because his customer, they don't feel safe walking around. And even though he spent tons of money to do the renovation to his side, but the situation just couldn't improve. So we believe, as I mentioned before, if we bring more people and more activity to the site, and eventually it will actually help the people to notice there are homeless people, and if they want, they can report this to the police. And besides of that, since this land is currently vacant, so after we build it up, then it can actually create more tax revenue for the city. And because of that, maybe the city can spend more money to hire more police officers, and they can send us officers to this area, and eventually this could be, it could actually help the overall community become a safer place. I think another thing the gentleman mentioned about is we have parking, we have a homeless issue, the renting, yes. So the site will be like actually renting kind of like apartment, gonna be a monthly renting out. It will not be like a motel, like only rent to people for 2 days and 3 days, and they will leave and coming. So the reason we want to do that, as I mentioned before, we want to actually make a community, not just like a motel. The reason of that, because a community can actually enhance the overall area, can actually attract people to the area compared to just some tourists that stay here for 2 to 3 days and move on. So overall, we believe this project can actually benefit the city and also can benefit the community, and also can actually help the overall area become even a safer place. And if you want, we can provide more bicycle parking on the site. So for the people who live here, if they want to ride their bike, then they can park their bikes on the site as well.
Thank
Happy
you,
to answer
Austin.
the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the commission, going to Commissioner Schlotman.
Thank you, Chairman. I know this area very well, and I do appreciate the gentleman coming up this evening. I appreciate you giving the presentation, reaching out to me months ago to start talking about this project. I know that when we first started the project that you brought to us, they looked like storage sheds, and we worked on it, and well, we didn't work on it, you worked on it, and you had your architects go back to the drawing board a few times before I finally said, hey, this looks like something that we could have in this neighborhood. So thank you for doing that, because this is 100 times better than where it first started. I do live at the Fremont Street Lofts out in the notification area. It's not going to affect me any greater or lesser than anybody else, but I've been down there since I moved in February of 2005 within probably 6 blocks of this location. And, you know, there's a fair amount of issues down there. And I have seen homeless camps, especially on this lot, you know, month after month after month. And I mean, unless if we continue constructing and building projects down here and getting more people, more eyes, that's the only thing that's gonna, you know, keep the homeless camps from appearing on certain properties like this. It's just something that we deal with in this part of the neighborhood. Parking, you know, I do think that we need a certain amount of parking. I think this is a new concept with the tiny homes. We'll see how this works out. Remember Commissioner Rogan challenged me a few years ago on parking, and that if we required like the total parking in the Arts District and every one of the projects in downtown, that we're going to have big parking lots and look like a suburb, in which we're trying to become more of an urban environment. We are an urban environment, but we want to maintain that urban environment. So I'm willing to take a chance on this. Thanks for making those modifications, making this look like a much better product that we can be more proud of in the Fremont East area. If there's no other comments.
Commissioner Schlotman, I just had one comment or question for the
Yes,
applicant.
Mr. Chairman.
On the utilities, have you thought through the RPPA, the transformer, I didn't really see that on the site plan. I see the trash on the backside where the 2 stalls are. But have you, and I say this because you're here, you know, doing redesigns, and I appreciate that, totally get it. We're here 3rd time, and it's much better, you know, what we're seeing today. I just hope not to see in the future saying, hey, I want to put something down the public right away because we didn't think through that portion of it with the easements required.
Understood.
And I know you have a tight site, but just, I don't know if you've thought through that at all yet.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is really a great question. So we actually consult one of our utility engineer, and over here you can see we do put a utility pad over here. So this pad will be more than enough to feed in the transformer over there. I talked to the engineer. He told me we only need to have 13 by 14, and over here we have 22 by 13. So that is way more than the minimum required.
For power. And
For
then
transformer.
What about water? And again, we see this in downtown.
Yeah.
We get waivers after the fact to put it in the public right away. And sometimes it is what it is, but in this case, we're ahead of it, you know, so. Commissioner Schlotman?
Chairman, we did go back after our briefing with city staff, and I did talk to Mr. Chen about that.
Okay.
And he did make that modification to allow enough room for
Great.
his utilities.
That's wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for noting that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, please.
All right.
All right, through you, Mr. Chairman, staff can read the revised conditions into the record.
Please.
Okay. So, condition of approval number 3 is updated to read, all development shall be in conformance with the elevation plan, date stamped 9/1/24, and the landscape plan and site plan, date stamped 10/8/24, except as amended by conditions herein. Condition of approval number 5 is updated to read, a waiver from Title 1909 is hereby approved to allow 1 parking space where 13 are required. Condition of approval number 12 is updated to read, all utility or mechanical equipment shall comply with the provisions of Title 1909.100. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rogan, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to say that I think the buildings look great. I think you did a great job. I'm going to oppose it tonight just because I don't agree with the spot zoning. I think with form-based code, my whole thing was we have a new plan. We need to stick with the plan. And this is an exception that we're creating to the plan. If we start following these exceptions over and over again, we're going to lose that consistency that we're looking for in our form-based code. So it's nothing against the project. I think it looks great. It's just the policy that I'm not supporting tonight.
Got you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Commissioner.
Schlotman?
And I appreciate that, but I will say that this body is here to make those determinations whenever we need to make those determinations. And for the past 20 years, pretty much everything we zoned however we want it downtown. So the master plan does bring things into alignment, but it's not a be-all, end-all. That is the Bible, that's the only way that it could be. So I will be supporting it tonight. So, go ahead.
One question through the chair. Is the units going to be pet-friendly?
I need to double check with the client, but I don't think that will be an issue at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Commissioner Taylor?
Thank you, Chair. I just have a couple questions. So just to confirm, they're rentals. What would
Yeah.
be the lease terms, if you know? Would they be, we know they're not daily, but are they like year-long leases, or what's the plan for that?
I will have to check with my client, but I will say minimum gonna be a monthly, like 30 days, 31 days, like a regular, like apartment. It's nothing like a motel or, those short term.
So the minimum would be a month,
Yes,
not like
not daily.
normal apartments that are like 6 months or a year?
For that, I will have to check with my client, but I can follow up with you if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you indicated that you were going to try to make these affordable.
Right.
And how are you basing that?
So we will basically compare to the other apartment building around to the downtown area, and we will try to basically lower the price as much as we can, but we still need to have some money in order to maintain the property owner side, because we will have a management team to actually manage the site.
Okay, so you don't have a metric necessarily of what base price it's going to be. And I know this is a little bit outside of the purview of this body, but it is something that we have been talking about as a concern as these multifamily projects have come in and have been represented that they would be market rate. So if you're saying you're basing it on the market of nearby apartments, then that does not necessarily indicate that they're going to become affordable for our workforce. So, I mean, that's what I'm understanding, right? Like, you're not looking at some metric that is indicative of salaries to affordability. You're looking at the surrounding apartments and then just going to lower it, whatever that means. Is that right? Like, do you know how much they're going to lower it? 10%, 20%, 5%, 2%?
I don't have the number right with me, but I can do my research and
Okay.
check with my client and follow up with you.
Okay.
I can shoot a follow-up email to you if you want.
Okay, and then finally, I am going to talk about your landscaping plan. Because
Yes.
it looks like you have some trees, but they look like they're crammed in between buildings. So while I appreciate you putting the trees in, I am concerned that the trees won't thrive and actually serve their purpose for urban, for canopy, which is also part of the 2050 master plan.
Right.
And so what is your client going to do to maintain the health of these trees on this tiny parcel of land in between these houses that are fairly well compacted together?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the condition, I read the stuff before. So one of the conditions is actually we have to hire professional landscape designer to redesign the whole site. So I believe if we do that, then that expert landscape engineer or architecture will actually make sure those trees, shrubs, they will stay alive. And just by looking at the site, I believe we can make enough room to put some like basically just make sure we can make sure that the shrubs and the trees can stay alive.
Okay.
I don't think that will be a major issue for this site.
All right, because again, this is part of the area that is one of the highest urban heat island indexes.
Right.
And so, part of the city's 2050 master plan is reducing that.
Yes.
And so I just have a lot of concerns. I mean, the product looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
And really appreciate the sort of innovation, but I also am generally in agreement with Commissioner Rogan about, like, once you start cutting away at the master plan, you end up with death by 1,000 cuts, and it ends up being nothing like what was originally put into place. And we experienced that up in Ward 6 as Ward 6 grew. So, anyway, those were my questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on item 18, abeyance renotification 24-0301. I would, that's 18A and B. I'd move to approve, subject to staff's conditions and the modified condition as read into the record by staff.
Thank you very much. There's a motion on the floor. Please.
Agree with all the staff's conditions and amended conditions?
Yes, we agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kusama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item will move forward to City Council on the November 6, 2024 agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Moving on to item number 19, abeyance 240044 VAR1, applicant Irma Mina Rodriguez, owner Eusebio Manzaluda, and Ermi J. Mena Rodriguez, for possible action on the land use entitlement project request to allow a 2-foot rear yard setback where 15 is required for an existing addition to a primary dwelling, a 3-foot side yard setback where 5 feet is required for an existing addition to a primary dwelling, and to allow an existing patio cover to extend into the required front yard setback where such is not allowed on .13 acres at 6905 Pony Circle, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is the result of an open code enforcement case. No evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance related to the physical characteristics of the property has been presented to warrant the requested variance. As such, the hardship is self-imposed, and therefore staff recommends denial of the request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there an applicant here for item number 19? Item number 19. Commissioner Rogan?
Thank you. Did you want to?
Did you want to hear this item tonight?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to open up public comment. Would anyone like to be heard at this portion on item number 19? Seeing nobody, I will close it and go to you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I've been working with the applicants on this. This is just not something that we can approve. The setbacks are just too far outside what I was comfortable with. The construction, I'm not certain would have passed our building code. The applicant has agreed to demolish all the structures that are non-conforming and then obtain proper permitting for the ones that are conforming. So at this time, unless there's other comment, I'm ready to make a motion to deny agenda item 19, project 24-0044 VAR1. I would ask code enforcement or whomever compliance that they give the applicant about 6 months to follow through with the demolition of all the structures.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. A yes vote is for denial.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days with the additional staff direction that the applicant has 180 days to bring the property into compliance.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 21, abeyance 240228, applicant owner Devarim 18 LLC et al. For possible action on the following land use entitlement project request at 20.81 acres at 921 West Owens Avenue, Suite 110. Staff recommends denial. Related item 21A, abeyance 240228 SUP1 for proposed 5,524 square foot nightclub use with a waiver to allow a 70-foot distance separation from a parcel containing a single-family dwelling where 500 feet is the minimum required. Related item 21B, abeyance 240228 SUP2 for proposed 5,524 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with a waiver to allow 145 distance separation, 145-foot distance separation from a city park and 365-foot separation from a church, house of worship, where 400 feet is required. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed nightclub use is not compatible with the existing development in the surrounding area. This is evident by the distance separation waiver request from an existing single-family dwelling, city park, and church. Therefore, staff recommends denial of both entitlements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you get your name and address to the record, please?
Good evening, Chairperson, Commissioners. Edgar Montalvo on behalf of the applicant, 2209 Tosca Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89128. This is a straightforward nightclub. Our client has been there for a few years running a banquet hall, and he's expanding right now to trying to do a different venue. This is what you have on the screen. He's trying to do some kind of a luxury, very nice nightclub. We know about all the closeness that we have, and we're trying to work with the staff and with the community and with you guys, trying to mitigate all those burdens that we have. Like, for example, for the closeness of the residents, what we're trying to do, and we presented this project to the building department, is we have an acoustical envelope. So we're gonna have this building wrap around from on walls, windows, and ceiling, so we can contain the noise that we can create and the nuisance for the neighbors, for the closeness. So that's what we're working right now with the building department. Well, that's what the plans that we present already there. Then also because of the closeness, we're gonna try to have security, people all the time during business hours surrounding the property, so they will not have any issues with the neighbors. So we're gonna be doubling the actual surveillance of the property, and also some cameras, video cameras, trying to protect all the neighborhood and the patrons for this nightclub. We're gonna try to have a very good relationship with Metro Police, having access to them, granting them access to them, to the cameras and the video surveillance system, so that we will not have any issues on that matter. Inside as you see, inside the nightclub, we're gonna have a large hall, so we will not have any lines outside, and everything is gonna be inside the building by itself, so they can actually not having anyone standing outside with drinks or trying to get ready to get into the nightclub. So that's one of the other things that we're proposing. With the closeness of the park, we think that it's not gonna be an issue, because the business hours actually are gonna be Wednesday to Sunday from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. pretty much, and that's the way that we're gonna try it. We think that it's not gonna have any issues with the parks. With the closeness of the church, I don't know if you received a letter, but the churches are now in the same shopping center. They're gonna be closed on October the 5th. So the owner of the property, they sent a letter. I don't know if you got it. If not, I have some copies here for you. Then they're not gonna be renewing their lease and their expiration date was October 5th. So they already closed, the churches there. So those are the things that we're trying to do. Of course, we agree with all the conditions if you allow us to open this building and make it reality. And we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this project is a nice-looking project, and I can see clearly that quite a bit of thought has gone into the interior design. I just don't think this is the right location. I mean, 70 feet from residential where 500 feet is required is a stretch. And I understand the wrapping the building and noise and all that, but I think we all know nightclubs are nightclubs, sound is sound, and people hanging out. So I think staff has got this right, but I'll certainly open it up for further comment.
Commissioner Rogan?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. In my day job, I've dealt with nightclubs that are this close to residential, and the noise just permeates, and it leads to a lot of problems for the city to enforce it, even if you're trying, as you say you are, to mitigate the noise through abatement. But I just don't see that it's compatible given how close it is to residential areas. So I'm sorry I can't support it tonight.
Okay, Vice Chair?
Thank you. Great project, just wrong location. So I'd like to make a motion on item 24-0228, motion for denial.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this will move forward to City Council on November 6th of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 22, abeyance 240273, applicant owner DHJ Trust for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on .5 half an acre at 5611 Dimmick Avenue, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Related item 22A, abeyance 240273 VAR1 to allow an 11-foot corner side yard setback where 15 is required for proposed residential accessory dwelling unit. Related item 22B, abeyance 240273 SUP1 for proposed residential accessory dwelling unit use. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed accessory dwelling unit meets all minimum special use permit requirements. However, by proposing the structure within the required corner side yard setback, the hardship in this case is self-imposed, and staff therefore recommends denial of both requests, subject to conditions if approved, one of which is the removal of an unpermitted carport within the side yard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Adrian Plata at 5940 South Rainbow Boulevard, Suite 3005, on behalf of the applicant. Here is the proposed accessory structure, and in the notes describing the project, it mentioned a RV cover that has since been removed. It was here, it's been removed. But this accessory structure, it's meeting all the exterior compatibility, the building separation. The only item is this intrusion on the side setback, and that's because of a covered porch. And here is the floor plan showing that covered porch, and here is the elevation showing the project.
Thank you very much. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Pilata. I was actually out at the residence yesterday, and the applicant has indeed already removed the side yard cover that was asked to be removed, and so looking at it and just understanding, it's very close in terms of the setbacks. I think it's a beautiful project. It is compatible and harmonious with the surrounding neighborhood, which is mostly custom build-outs with casitas and backyards, and so unless there's further comment, I'm ready to make a motion on this.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion for approval on item 24-0273, 22A and B, subject to staff's conditions, and you do agree to all the staff's conditions?
Yes.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to take an item out of order and go to item number 26. Is the applicant for 26 here? Okay, I don't see the applicant. We're going to go back to the original order, to item number 23. Abeyance 20, oh, this is the good one. I'll read a page, you read a page, I'll read a page. Okay, bear with me. 23, abeyance 240355, applicant owner, the Howard Hughes Company LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request located on a portion of 78.08 acres on the northwest corner of Twilight Run Drive and Amaya Canyon Drive, Ward 2. Staff recommends denial. Related item 23A.1, abeyance 240355 VAR1 to allow an address change from 12720 Western Skyline Drive to 1 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A2, abeyance 240355 VAR2 to allow an address change from 12725 Western Skyline Drive to 2 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A.3, abeyance 240355 VAR3 to allow an address change from 12700 Western Skyline Drive to 3 Western Skyline Drive. We're going to do this 44 times, I think. 23A4, abeyance 240355 VAR4 to allow an address change from 1270 Western Skyline Drive to 4 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A5, abeyance 240355 VAR5 to allow an address change from 12680 Western Skyline Drive to 5 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A6, abeyance 24055 VAR6 to allow an address change from 12685 Western Skyline Drive to 6 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A7, abeyance 240355 VAR7 to allow an address change from 12665 Western Skyline Drive to 8 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A, abeyance 240355 VAR8 to allow an address change from 12645 Western Skyline Drive to 10 Western Skyline Drive. Related item 23A9, 240355 VAR9 to allow an address change from 1910 Skyfall Point Drive to 12 Skylight Point Drive. Related item 23A10, abeyance 240355 VAR 10 to allow an address change from 1930 Skyfall Point Drive to 14 Skyfall Point Drive. Related item 23A11, abeyance 240355 VAR 11 to allow an address change from 1945 Skyfall Point Drive
Chair.
to, yep.
Excuse me, if the applicant's okay with stipulating that the variances are as listed on the agenda is acceptable.
Council, I really,
I think
really
we would
appreciate that.
be okay with that.
100% fine with that.
You were kind of just see how far I go, right?
Kinda.
Okay, so thank you, council, for jumping in there. That will take us to, all the way to, let me just make sure I see the last one on here. Is it 23.A44? And you agree that it's good with
Yes,
everything
sir.
that's read into record? Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, these variances are requested to allow custom addressing on 44 lots within an approved subdivision. The proposed address number block range is not consistent with the surrounding area. Following accurate address ranges helps mitigate potential emergency service and mail delivery delays. Staff finds the request to be self-imposed hardships and outside the realm of NRS Chapter 278 for granting of variances. Therefore, staff recommends denial of all entitlements. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get your name and address to the record, please?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Stephanie Allen, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant, Howard Hughes Company. Those addresses were cumbersome as you were reading them in, and we're here to request to simplify the addresses, actually. They're custom lots that you've already actually approved the map for, as far west as you can possibly go in Summerlin. So this is west of the 215. It's an approved future custom lot community that'll be a gated community. Summerlin has asked and had approved on previous custom lot developments similar custom addressing. The concern, I believe, from my understanding and conversations with fire, is that the temporary delay in the address change and the upload into the GIS system. These 44 lots will not be developed quickly. We're going to have lots of time. Custom lots don't get developed quickly, and so we should have plenty of time to get the map and the APNs established, and then ultimately the information uploaded into the GIS system to not cause any type of concern from a fire safety standpoint. I did bring a couple examples of other communities within Summerlin that have had similar requests approved and similar concerns. I'm not aware of any issues that have transpired as a result of that custom addressing. This is the Ridges in Summerlin. I believe this is known as Trilogy in Summerlin, and then there's a couple offices that Summerlin also did custom addressing. To me personally, I think it's simpler, and once it's in that GIS system, there should be no life safety issues. So with that said, I'd very much appreciate your approval of all of these requested variances. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you, staff, go to the first slide you had when you, I think staff has it. It's the first, there we go, yeah. Okay, just simply looking at the plan of the developed areas is not, there is no grid. There is no grid to where, like, you know, longitude, latitude, to where it's actually going to find, as you can see, the fire department's going to have to go through all sorts of wavy streets just to get to it. So I think what they're trying to do here, and I support the project and this particular application, because it fits well with the way they're doing the community. If you look to the left on this map, that's an area, if I'm not mistaken, that's Mini Rock, they're calling it, Mini Red Rock.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so other developments are also around that area. So it isn't going to be unique to, like, if you look at a street map, you know, to where you take it there. So that's one of the issues. So it meets community public safety as well. Fire and police, EMS will be able to find the system when it's designed. And my experience, 30 years in the fire department, we do drive-throughs. When a new development goes up and it's running, so the minute they know that address, they know exactly how to get there and where it's at. So that doesn't pose an issue as well. If they meet the conditions and there's no other questions, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Please do.
Okay, I want to make a motion to approve item number 23, which is abatements 24-0355, applicant owner, Howard Hughes Corporation, and the sub-items with it, which is 24-0355 variance 1 through abatements 24-0355 variance 44. I want to make sure, I got to turn 3 pages over. Usually Bob has these 5-page applications, but I want to make sure that I get the number right here. Please bear with me.
Sounded right to me.
23A 44, which is 24-0355 variant VAR 44. A motion to approve that. I entertain that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Chair, through you, is that with subject to conditions?
Subject to all staff
Yes.
conditions. Thank you.
Commissioner Kasama?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are going to go back to item number 26, 240240, VAR1, applicant owner Jose Alberto Lamas, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow an existing residential accessory structure that does not conform to Title 1906 development standards for building size, an existing front yard wall fence that exceeds maximum height standards on .20 acres at 4716 East Washington Avenue. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is the result of an open code enforcement case, and this variance request is made in conjunction with the City of Las Vegas Safe Home Improvements Funding and Training, otherwise known as the SHIFT program. No evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance related to the physical characteristics of the property has been presented to warrant the requested variance. As such, the hardship is self-imposed, and therefore staff recommends denial of the variance request. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you get your name and address to the record, please?
Hi, my name is Jose Alberto Lamas, 4760 East Washington Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 19910.
Thanks, Roberto. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Minerva Gomez. I'm with the Department of Community Development, just assisting Mr. Llamas to understand.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us about the application?
¿Quiere explicarle sobre la aplicación?
Sobre mi proyecto?
El proyecto.
Yes. I make a house in my backyard because COVID-19 is no work, and I have a little money in my bank, and I make one house in my backyard because I think I need money for something where, and I make the house, no make plans, no make permits, because in this time is no people help me, and I work for construction. I make everything. I know about the scales, the setback, and everything about the construction, and I make the house, and I know my house is very, very good house because I make it, and I don't no problem if you send people to check out my house because I make it, and I make all the codes to the city. I make it too many houses in Las Vegas because I work for construction. I'm here to 25 years in Las Vegas, and all the time is construction. The house I make it because I think in my futuro for my kids. I need my kids. I have 3 kids. And then I need probably to more school because I think all the family. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lamas. Thanks for coming up and telling us about it. I'm gonna open up public hearing. Anyone like to be heard on this portion for this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Schlotman.
Yes, through you, Chair. I've looked at this project. I mean, it looks nice. It's a great-looking backyard with a patio and the landscape in. So I don't have a problem with the fence or the casita. It's just that there's two in the backyard, and they'll have to be connected, because if they're not connected internally, then it's a multifamily property and a single-family subdivision, and we can't approve that.
Okay.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, a question for staff. Was there a condition of approval to connect the two in the conditions already?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we had them submit us revised plans of the casita so that it is one unit and has internal access to all rooms.
Okay.
And he says he has the plans with him if you wanted to see them. I don't know.
Okay, you could, we already have that on the record. We already have it.
Ya tienen los planos ellos.
Okay.
And the gentleman agrees with all conditions of approval?
Y si ya le explicaron las condiciones de la aprobación,
Sí.
y si las acepta.
Sí.
Yes.
Yes.
If there's no other questions, Chair?
Please do.
Okay, on item number 26, 24-0240 VAR1, move to approve subject to staff's conditions.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days.
Okay. Thanks for coming out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, or back to 24. Abeyance 240357, VAR1 applicant Tough Shed owner Martin and Alex Gonzalez Trust for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow a 3-foot side yard setback where 5 feet is required for proposed residential accessory structure and to exceed the height of the principal dwelling where such is not allowed on 0.48 acres at 8301 Sedona Flat Street, Ward 6. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, no evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance related to the physical characteristics of the property has been presented to warrant the requested variance. As such, the hardship is self-imposed, and therefore staff recommends denial of the request. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you use your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, good evening. Todd Hargrove, 7055 Windy Street. I'm here representing our client, Martin Gonzalez. We propose to do a 20 by 29 accessory structure. The height is 2 feet higher than the existing residence, but there are multi-residents that are 2 stories, and one is right next door to them. And it's set back from the street over 150 feet, so from the street point of view, you're barely going to see it, and it's 20-foot setback from the rear. There is some landscape screening that you could see here on the south side of the property right here. There's 10-foot oleanders. We asked for a 3-foot setback, but with Commissioner Taylor, where I think a 4-foot setback would be wiser to give the trees a little bit more comfortable for growth. Other than that, I think it's going to be architecturally compliant with the community, and we are going to paint to match the existing residence.
Okay, thank you for the information on the application. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone like to be heard in this item? Well, he's walking out. I see no one. I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Todd, for meeting with me and being able to walk around the yard and see what the project as proposed would be. One thing that we didn't get to was, can you please confirm if you have HOA approval for this project?
Yes, we do have HOA approval, and I do have a signed approval from the neighbors as well.
And which neighbors are those again?
I'm sorry?
Which neighbors are those, if you
The
can show us
neighbors,
on the map?
this is the property in question, so the neighbor directly across the street and a neighbor to the north of him.
Okay. What about the two neighbors that are across the street by Kitty Corner? Did you even reach out to them?
The neighbor on this side right here, it's a vacant for right now. The HOA did not need signatures from these two neighbors, so we did not ask them.
Okay, thank you.
There was one more thing I also wanted to point out, and because we heard that there might have been additional landscaping. So here in front, which is going to be behind this wall, is where the project's going to be. So he has this very beautiful lavish landscape.
Could you flip it
Yeah,
around?
here.
Thanks, Tom. There you go, thank you.
Much better. Green side up.
There we go.
Okay, so he has this beautiful tree in front that's going to help screen where that building is going to be, which is going to be another 75 feet behind that wall.
And getting to see it, I do want to make one correction, which is that it's actually closer to 3 feet taller than the building, based on what staff report's saying, but considering it backs up to Jones, essentially, and that you do have the two-story right next to it, and you do have the mitigating landscaping, I have less concern now about the height than I did. I still, and I appreciate the 4 feet, I still want to make sure, and I'd like to potentially, if this were to pass, add a condition in that the oleanders that exist on that wall, and when we walked the property, you showed me essentially that the side of the building was going to be like right next to, immediately next to the
That's
drip
where the
irrigation.
3 foot was set back.
That's the
but
3 foot.
after, I agree with you that to give them a little bit more breathing room, another foot wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping that potentially that's enough, because I would like to have a condition, and we discussed this as well, that, that those cannot come out. Those are going to be mitigating landscaping that has to stay as part of the construction. But
I would totally agree with you on that.
okay,
yes.
but I would open it up to my fellow commissioners to see if anybody else has any thoughts, because it is going to be a pretty imposing addition to your backyard.
It would be, which in this photo, as you can see, so this house is the house that we want to put it in behind, and this is the neighbor's house. This house is 30-plus feet high. Our building's only going to be 18 feet high.
Right. We'll round it up to 19,
Okay.
based on the staff report. So, yeah. But anyway, so those are, again, thank you so much for letting me come out. Thank you for walking me around and talking.
Absolutely.
But I just would appreciate some input from my fellow commissioners.
Commissioner Rogan?
Commissioner Taylor, I think you're spot on. I approved one of these in my neighborhood a couple of years ago. Similar situation, but it was a lot closer to the road, and so the height difference is quite noticeable. But yours is different. It's set back a lot further, so I'm not concerned about that. I share Commissioner Taylor's concerns about the viability of any plantings that are there when you've only got 4 feet. I think 5 feet is the minimum for a reason. I think 5 feet is where we have like our sidewalk amenities. We have to have 5 feet at least so that we can put trees and bushes in. I'd really push you to you're a foot away, just do the 5 feet.
There's a reason for that, because he has cool decking going around a fire pit area.
Yeah.
Which is right there. So at 4 feet, it's going to be putting it pretty close to the edge of his cool decking where the pool is, right in this area here. So the 4 feet shouldn't be an issue. It should give me enough clearance to get the footings in. But if we go another foot, I know it's only a foot, but then I would have to be cutting into the cool decking.
Yeah, I'm just concerned. You don't have approval from the most impacted neighbor because it's not an occupied property. You know, I'm concerned about the viability of those oleanders, and I think it's important that you maintain those as Commissioner Taylor did. And I think if you got the 5 feet, I'd be with you. I'll leave it up to Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Taylor, I'll support you in whatever you do, but I think the 5 feet is necessary.
Okay.
Todd, we looked at that, so you're telling me that pop-out curbing, I thought that there was potentially
The
enough.
curbing wasn't the issue. It's his
Right.
actual cool decking right on the other side of that.
Yeah, no, but I understand that, but like, how far is it from the pop-out curbing to the cool decking? It seemed like it was at least another foot. So, I mean, you don't have the measurements. We don't have measurements right now, so.
If I could get him to agree to 5 feet, and we could probably go ahead and cut that. If that's a part of the condition for approval, we'll do 5 feet.
Okay, and then that way too, I guess, staff can tell me you could withdraw your variance for that
Well,
one.
it will save them a little bit extra money too, because now we don't have to fire rate that wall.
It's been a really good session.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, through you, should we, I hate to say this, should we hold this another month so he can get confirmation from the property owner that he's willing to cut into the cool decking before we eliminate this application altogether?
I could speak on his behalf. He'll agree to it. I'm his representative.
Mr. Chairman, through you, then if that is the case and they can meet the setback, then we can edit.
One question for you, Nicole. Since this is a residential accessory structure, and then RPD2, was this held to an RE standard?
It is.
If that's the case, the accessory dwelling or the accessory structures that exceed the height of the principal structure are a 10-foot setback?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you, yes, we would then need to edit the variance for just the height only.
So that would be, staff, Nicole, that would just, we'd amend condition 1 to say a variance is not approved to allow a free 3-foot side yard setback, but allow the remaining conditions in place.
Mr. Chairman, through you, yes, we could just delete condition number 1.
Okay.
So just to clarify, so the accessory structures that shall not exceed the height of a principal dwelling unit for any portion of the structure that is less than 10 feet from the property line. So if they move it to 5 feet, it's still a 10-foot requirement, so you'd adjust that variance to allow a 5-foot where 10-foot is required for it, since the height exceeds the principal structure.
Now I'm confused.
You're not the only one.
It's just inside baseball right now.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Nicole, is that condition 2 that addresses the height?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I'm looking through the staff report. This one was compared to an R1 lot. The lot size is 8,276 square feet. Minimum R1 lot size is 6,500 square feet, so it was used, R1 was used as the compatible zoning district, which, I'm sorry.
I think what we might do is trail this
Yeah,
one.
can we trail this one?
Yeah, let's trail this. Todd, we're going to just have you sit down. We'll bring you back up.
Okay.
While they work it out. We'll keep the agenda going while they figure it out. Thank you. Going on to item number 25, 240128, applicant owner Lakeisha Harrington for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on .17 acres at 6261 Garwood Avenue, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Related item 25A, 240128 VAR1 to allow proposed residential accessory structure that does not conform to Title 1906 development standards for separation from the main building height, setback, size, and coverage, and to allow an existing front yard setback or existing front yard wall that exceeds maximum height standards. Related item 25B, 240128 SRP1 for a proposed residential accessory dwelling unit use. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is the result of an open code enforcement case. The existing wall and proposed casita fails to comply with Title 19 development standards. Approval of a special use permit is requested to allow a full kitchen within the proposed casita. Staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and outside the realm of NRS Chapter 278 for granting of variances. Therefore, staff recommends denial of both entitlements. Please note additional documents of protest and support were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Hello, my name is Lakeisha Harrington. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to hear me. 6261 Garwood Avenue. I'm asking, I built a fence already. I live in my neighborhood, which I've been there since 2020. I don't have a garage. I like to do a lot of woodworking and things. I got a variance prior to this for a building from 1971, along with the 2 metal sheds, where I'm trying to remove the metal sheds because you guys gave me the variance for the 0-foot setback before, but now I'm asking to clean it up and make it something that looks better and more pleasing to the home, and give myself a garage with a mother-in-law suite on the top to move my mom in. And then, yes, I did build that fence, but I thought I was to code, because in the middle, it says that for the dangle areas, you can go up to 6 inches, and I did it opposite. So where you have the brick is where it could go higher, and where I have the wood is where it's supposed to be the shorter part. So I did do it to when I read the code, which was what I thought was correct, and I do apologize, but it's withstand all the winds and everything crazy that we've had where people's houses and stuff is flying apart. I did build it 2 years ago. That's pretty much everything. And then I also walked the neighborhood, and I got 13 more letters in everybody else's handwriting, along with their signatures and their houses. And
Would you like to turn those in for the
I
record?
would like to. I just got them for you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Some of them are in Spanish.
Great.
But I do have, on one side is an Airbnb, and then across the street on the other side is an Airbnb, and then 2 more houses down on the same street on Garwood, there's another Airbnb, and then you go 3 more houses down, and that's another Airbnb. So I did not get those 4 Airbnbs. The one owner of the one, he did a sign, and he said it's okay because he has Airbnb there, so he doesn't care.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you. Ms. Harrington, hi, how are you?
Wonderful.
Your aesthetic is different. I think it's kind of cool. The only concern that I would have is the site visibility issue for the corner lot. That's been raised as a concern by public safety. It's just a little bit too high because it's blocking the ability for cars that are coming around the corner to see it. So if you weren't on the corner, I'd be all right. 6 feet sounds good, but I think you're going to have to, just because you're on that corner lot, it's not so much the aesthetic, but just take it down a foot so that it meets the code.
Yeah,
That's
I can literally cut it down 1 foot, that's no problem. It was just the fact that because I did use pallets and how I put it together, it was stronger when it's together most of the time, but I can amend that 100%. I can cut it down and do whatever needs to be done, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, great. So I can't support that. With regard to the casita, it's the same issue. It's right against the property line, right on the street. I just can't support the location of where you're putting that casita. I think, you already have a 2-story building. I think a 2-story height for the casita is fine, casita/garage, but you're putting it right up against the property line, and I can't support that. So if you work with staff, you come back with a different location for that casita, and see what you can work out, but just where you've proposed to put it right now, I just can't support it since it's right against the property line, okay?
I totally understand that, and with that, me having those 2 sheds already, I already got the 0 set variance for it, and that's why I would just put that garage there. So you're saying I could do the garage, I just couldn't do the mother-in-law suite on top? I'm confused.
No, I can't support the entire project. So I think you need to just go back to the drawing board, find something that actually works, that's not right up against the property line that's so large and imposing, and maybe find a different spot on your property that you can put it.
We already tried that. We went to the drawing board multiple times with how we talked to the people with bringing in the driveway in to go into the garage.
Yeah.
Because of the stop sign right there, I can't put it here. Only way that I could do it is when they moved it back there. So we already sat with them about moving it to have the garage come in back there, because it's the only way for my property, because in the front, I can't put a garage because it's already too close.
Yeah, it looks like you had a converted garage at one point, so.
Never, sir. That
Oh.
has I have a different setup, and I actually have a fireplace.
Okay.
I never had a garage.
Okay.
The house never had a garage.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't support it. You're building right up to the property line, a 2-story structure, so it's not something that I can support. And open to hearing other alternatives from fellow commissioners, concerns.
Commissioner Walsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have a oversight looking down, like a Google map or something? Because all I see is the front of the building. Is there one where you're looking down, you can see, you're getting there? Whoop. Go back to the last one. No, the other one. I want to see what it looks like close. It could be the drawings too. That's fine if it's one of the drawings. Okay, yeah, this is what I was looking for, right there. And I'm trying to see, so you're on the corner there, right?
It's all the way back behind my house, sir. So it's behind the gate, and then it would take away those two metal sheds that I already got the variance on for the 0-foot setback 2 years ago when I was here.
That's the one to the bottom right, the two on the bottom right there. Can you see this? I don't know if you
Yes, sir,
can.
but
Okay.
it's over them. They're already not there. They're removed.
Well, those are moved, okay.
Yeah, because right now I have two big metal sheds right there where I'm asking for that, and they're already up against the wall.
And the proposal is the checked out grade area there?
To remove the sheds and build a garage. And then
Okay.
put a mother-in-law suite on the top,
On the top.
along with keeping my tree so that I could do like a deck kind of around the tree to make the tree stronger.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to see the perspective on it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Rogan?
Thanks. I'm prepared to make a motion to deny agenda item 25, project 24-0128A and B.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days.
So what do I do?
If you want to appeal the planning commission's decision, it would
Like
file.
come back with chit chat with them again and then come back with another plan, or? how do-
You know what, I'll talk to you after the side.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are we prepared to bring back item 24? Okay. Is Todd here for item number 24? And it's been read into the record. We've already had public hearing, and we are back to Mr. Lowenstein.
We're back, yes.
Okay.
All right, so from my understanding and my getting corrected by my staff, which is the best.
Perfect.
The height is the only variance if you were relocating it to a 5-foot setback, which would amend one of the conditions. There was some additional discussion about the lot coverage of the side and rear yards. It seems like the size of this accessory structure and the other one that exists shouldn't be an issue. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the planning commissioner, Ms. Taylor.
All right, Commissioner Taylor?
Thank you. So we've sorted out the issue with the two different variances. We're only going to be needing to vote on one. However, I would still like a condition in the record. I'd still like to add a condition that the trees, the mitigating landscaping on that south side next to that vacant lot remains. And you agree to that?
All good.
Okay, great. Then with that, I will make a motion on item 240357 to approve the sole requested variance, subject to all conditions, including the condition added tonight.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, could I read in the condition just for clarification? So we will delete condition of approval number 1, and we will add a condition that reads, the existing landscaping oleander shrubbery along the south property line is to remain to buffer the visual impact of the structure.
Ms. Eddowes, if you could just correct that to oleander trees, because while I understand they can be shrubbery, these have been trained to be trees.
Mr. Chairman, through you, then it will read, the existing landscaping, oleander trees along the south property line is to remain to buffer the visual impact of the structure. Thank you.
And you agree to those conditions?
I do.
All right. There's a motion on the floor.
There is a motion on the floor.
Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogan is a yes as well, and that motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thanks.
Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, 27 has been obeyed. We are on to 28. 240315 RQR1, applicant Somerset Academy, owner Zions National Bank, Zions First National Bank, for possible action on the land use entitlement project request for a required review of an approved special use permit for an alternative parking standard to allow 429 parking spaces where 516 spaces are required for an existing primary and secondary school at 7038, 7058, and 7078 Sky Point Drive, Ward 6. Staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff performed a site visit during the end of the school day, and staff found that the existing 429 parking spaces provided for the school as approved by special use permit 59539 remains adequate to serve the current student population and the needs of the school. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this review with no further reviews required. Please note an additional documentation of support and protest was received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
John Lopman, 8985 Southeastern, representing the applicant. Well, I appreciate staff's support of what we're trying to do out there, including Councilwoman Bruning. Got us some other things going out there. We've met out there several times, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I understand that staff is recommending approval for the existing configuration with no further reviews, and I don't have any problem with that. But I also understand that there is an expectation that Somerset will be coming back in with requests for addition. And so just to clarify from staff, all bets are off kind of on the parking adequacy once that request for an addition comes in. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, through you, yes. If they come in with an addition that would require additional parking, then yes, they would need to either amend this SUP for the alternative parking standard, or at that point, apply for a parking variance.
Okay, thank you.
That is our plan.
Sorry?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, or they provide additional parking in line with the alternate parking demand to meet it.
But basically, you cannot just simply accept this as
Correct.
adequate and then add more classrooms.
Correct.
There's got to be some further action. Okay. As long as I had that clarification, then I am prepared to make a motion.
Please do.
I would like to move to approve item 240315 for the required review of this alternative parking situation.
Thank you very much. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Through you, Chair, is that with subject to conditions?
It's always subject to conditions. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And you agree to all conditions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kusama?
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 29, 240326 VAR1, applicant owner JHS Properties LLC, for possible action on land use entitlement project request to allow proposed primary dwelling and patio cover that does not conform with Title 1906 development standards for setbacks and building height on .47 acres at 5400 Florian Street, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and outside the realm of NRS Chapter 278 for granting of variances. Therefore, staff recommends denial. Please note additional documents of support were received since publication. Also note there is a blue sheet staff report in your packet with added comments from the Department of Aviation in the analysis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Adrian Plata at 5940 South Rainbow Boulevard, Suite 3005. Here is a new custom home. We have a RV garage with an attached garage, and then the custom home. There is a front porch that is proposed to be intruding on the front setback. It would be 15 feet from the property line. It is composed of three smaller posts, so it's very visually open. And then as far as the RV garage, you know, because of the length of it, there's no way around putting an RV garage on this lot attached to fit within that front setback, which is why we're pushing everything towards the front, asking for this. Here is I'll just keep it this way, floor plan. This shows the porch and the garage. Roof plan, as you saw, some preliminary sections, flat elevations, and some black and white and 3D color renderings.
Cool. Thank you, Adrian. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a chance to review this project as well, and I think it's a beautiful project, certainly, harmonious and compatible in terms of it being a custom design and build, and so I don't have any issues unless there's further comment.
Nope.
I'd like to make a motion on item 24-0326 VAR1, motion for approval, subject to staff's conditions, and you do agree to all the staff's conditions?
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
this item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 30, 240391, applicant owner R&J Wholesale, Inc., for possible action on the following land use entitlement project requests at 2550 Fremont Street, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. Related item 38, 240391 SUP1 for proposed motor vehicle sales use. Related item 30B, 240391 SDR1 for proposed 1,327 square foot motor vehicle sales development with waiver as the perimeter landscape buffer requirements. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the proposed development will not support the intent of the general plan as evidenced by the requested waivers and exceptions, and the use of chain link fencing, which is not an acceptable material for perimeter walls or screening. Furthermore, the proposed development will not contribute to achieving an environment reflecting of high level of concern for architectural, landscape, and urban design principles as identified in the goals and objectives in Redevelopment Area 1 of the City of Las Vegas redevelopment plan. Therefore, staff recommends denial of all requested entitlements. Please note additional documentation of support was received after publication. Thank you.
Hi, can you get your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, my name is Joshua Bombala. Last name is spelled Bombala.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'm here as a representative of Susanna Rutar Architect and on behalf of the owner. We had reached out to Cassandra, our planner, when we had discussed with the owner that the project was recommended for denial. And when we reached back out to Cassandra for the item to be held till November, we were instructed that we missed the deadline as the agenda had already been sent out. And the owner has instructed me that he would like to be held so that he can improve the site ahead of next planning commission, if possible.
Commissioner Schlotman, before I go further with public hearing, did you want to comment?
I just want to say, reach out to me because this is my ward, and I do have a concern with the chain link fence and the 9 trees where 24 are required, or somewhere along 28 trees are required, and not meeting any of the landscape adjacency next to the neighbor's property. And we could talk about the interior trees. I understand it's a car lot, but I do have quite a few concerns, so please do reach out to me if you come over to the side here in a minute. I'll give you my telephone number.
Okay.
So I believe I can make a motion to obey for 30 days. I think a commissioner can do it once, so. So are you requesting to hold it for 30 days, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay, and that would be until the November 12th meeting. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to obey until the November 12th meeting for the Wiener Schnitzel building application.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 32. No, excuse me, 31, which I will be abstaining from because my company, I have an interest in the company that's developing this. So I'll turn it over to Vice Chair.
All right, item 31, 24-0393 VAC1, applicant Art Haas LLC, owner City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a land use entitlement project, request for a petition to vacate portions of Jefferson Avenue right-of-way between C and D Street, Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. Can I get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the vacation request will not negatively impact the existing and future development in the surrounding area and thereby recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Grant Garcia, 900 South Las Vegas Boulevard, one of the owners of Art House 4 LLC, and the project is called Share Downtown West Side. We appreciate staff working with us through this vacation request, and appreciate their recommendation for approval. I'll make it brief. You know, we've since our last meeting on this, we've had quite the increase in construction costs, and due to that, we've had some redesign on the project, which has led to a few of the footings going into the right-of-way. And so we're respectfully asking for approval of the vacation, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. This meeting was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close public hearing and turn this over to myself. No issues here, unless there's further comment. Ready to make a motion? I'd like to make a motion on item 24-0393 VAC1, motion for approval, subject to staff's conditions, and you do agree with all the staff's conditions?
Yes.
Motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama?
Yes.
All right, and this motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Mr.
evening.
Vice Chair, that item will move forward to City Council at November 6, 2024 agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair. Moving on to item number 32, 24-0397, applicant owner Jack Parapowicz for possible action on land use entitlement project request at 1.22 acres at the northeast corner of Duncan Drive and Leon Avenue, Ward 5. Excuse me, staff recommends denial. Related item 32A, 24-0397 GPA1 from DR to LIR. Related item 32B, 24-0397 ZON1 from RE to CM. And finally, related item 32C, 24-0397 SDR1 for proposed 3,000 square foot, 2-story contractor office and storage yard development with waivers of perimeter landscape buffer, bay door, and building orientation requirements. Can we get the staff report, please?
And before you go to staff report, Chairman, I want to say I work with Jack Popovich, I call him Demo Jack, on quite a few different properties, so many that I'm going to abstain from this because I just recently have an open contract with him, and so out of abundance of caution, I'm just going to abstain. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Taylor?
I am part of an organization that's in a residence within the notification range, and I don't feel that I can exercise independent judgment on this, so I'm also going to be abstaining.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. We're good. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the proposed industrial land use designation and zoning district to be too intense for the area. The proposed development includes the storage of heavy construction equipment with no landscape buffer to screen the equipment from the surrounding residential development. Regardless of the missing landscaping, staff finds the proposed development is not harmonious and compatible with the existing residential and nursing home development in the surrounding area, and therefore staff recommends denial of all entitlement requests. Please note additional documentation of support and protest were received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we get your name and address for the record, please? Excuse me.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Molly Taylor.
speaking on behalf and with the applicant and owner. Address 8414 Farm Road, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89131.
Thank you. Jack Perpovich, 3901 Leon Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89130.
Thank you very much. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, we are asking for, Jack owns a company called Complete Demo Services. They work all over the Las Vegas Valley, and he is proposing to build a 2-story office building. And you'll see on, this is Duncan Drive, here's Leon. We have landscaping all along the front. The building is going to be set back. And then in this large area back here, that's going to be the storage of the equipment that he uses for demolition. Vice Chair Williams met with my colleague Nathan Taylor yesterday at the property and Mr. Jack. Now we do have 8 palm trees that are located along this side. That would be the north. And Jack has said that he will plant trees all along here and all down the east side.
Okay.
We did have the neighborhood meeting, and we are aware that there were 2 people that stood out in opposing that, and we expect them to speak, and we will answer any questions that you may have after that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Please come on up. If there's more than one person, we do have a few microphones. We'll need your name and address for the record if you're for or against. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to tell us why.
Hi, my name is Johnny Rodriguez, Johnnny Rodriguez, and I live at 3917 Leon Avenue. I do have a written speech to make it a little go faster.
Please.
I am opposing this. I do live on Leon, which is 4 houses down from the actual opposed land for the land use. Today, I stand before you to express my deep concerns regarding the proposed change of zoning from the residential to commercial in our beloved neighborhood, particularly for the development of a storage facility and potential area for potential junkyard for the demolition services. This change possesses significant risks to our community's character, safety, decreased home values, and quality of life. First and foremost, we must consider the impact on our residential neighborhood. Commercial developments, especially storage facilities for construction and demolition, often bring with them noise, traffic, and unsightly views. These factors not only diminish the aesthetic appeal of our homes, but can also lead to a 5 to 20% decrease in our property values per internet research I've done. Families choose to live in this area for its tranquility and community feel. Introducing commercial enterprises disrupts that harmony. Moreover, additionally, there are safety concerns associated with such developments. This storage facility can attract criminal activity from theft to vandalism, which jeopardizes the safety of our residents. Construction demolition company and potential junkyard with its large machinery and potential hazardous materials poses further risks, especially to our children, to the water that's in the ground from that water, and pets who play nearby. Moreover, commercial developments have a track record of struggling in residential areas. High vacancy rates can lead to abandoned properties, so if they do go down, we will have an empty, vacant lot there. We must ask ourselves, do we want to invest in a future that could lead to a blight, disrepair, and uncertainty for the residents based on a single act of allowing a single individual to disrupt the quality of life we currently live in? In conclusion, changing from this lot to residential to commercial for a storage facility at a potential junkyard is not in the best interest of our community. It threatens our property values, which I'm looking forward to keeping my value of my home. I'm retiring next year, so I definitely want to keep my value of my home if I do want to sell and move out. And also, the future retirement plans I have provided, the safety and the very essence of our neighborhood. I urge you to consider these factors carefully and prioritize the well-being of our residents over the transient commercial interests of one man's single attempt to dramatically change our lives. Let us preserve the integrity of our community for generations to come.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Thank you. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. Liz Thompson, 3909 Leon. I need to object to this proposed zone change for several reasons. In my opinion, this project is way too intense for our existing residential estates neighborhood, which is a half-acre plus community. Residents have moved here to enjoy a quiet, safe environment. If we chose to live near industrial commercial buildings, we would surely relocate to an industrial zone area such as South Highland, Western, or the commercial industrial areas west of the Strip. If I wanted to sell my home, being in the real estate business, I'm aware of the major drop in value that I would expect, likely in the 20 to 30% range. This is a perfect example of location, location, location. It's bad enough that there's historical commercial zoning across the street on the corner of Duncan and Leon and running a block north on Leon. This has brought major traffic and dozens of parked vehicles and workers onto our street every weekday, starting around 6 a.m. going till around 3. Last thing we need is an intense industrial business on the corner to add to already looming issues we face daily on our street. Not to speak of the rats, bugs, and critters that this type of usage brings. If he vacates or sells this property, the new industrial commercial zoning will stay with it. So we could see a 7-Eleven or a country western bar, a flop house, a Palomino club, weekly rentals, and who knows what else on that corner. If you approve this request, you're choosing a business use over our existing RE zoning, effectively changing our living conditions and livelihood. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to be heard in this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and ask the applicants to come back up if you'd like to respond or add to your application.
Responding to the comments surrounding the entire property on Leon and Duncan are commercial properties. There will be nothing unsightly because the walls will be 8 feet tall surrounding the entire property. And then with the addition of all of the trees that he's going to line that backyard with, backyard, that will further block the view of anything that anybody could see. His company is not, they're not demolishing anything on property. Everything is done off property. This is merely for the storage of those bobcats and the equipment that his staff, that his employees use at other job sites. There will be no hazardous materials. All fueling is done on site at other locations at the job site. No refueling is done on site. No oil changes will be done on site. Maintenance is all done in the field. It will not impact the property at all or be on the property. It will not be a junkyard. He has very specific use for what he needs. I would like to point out, too, that he does have a code violation because there are some construction materials on the property, and that was simply him jumping the gun and getting the material for the block wall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I will turn it over to the commission, going to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I think that the residents certainly have very valid points. I understand the concern for increasing the intensity, for bringing in additional businesses. I also understand that there are existing intense uses around this site. But I think the bigger concern for me tonight is really not understanding the landscape plan and the screening in terms of what we've talked about. And so can we really, I really want to understand that. And do we have plans that articulate what this is going to look like? The landscape plan and the buffers and the trees, and do we have those items?
We have our, I'm sorry, we have our landscape plan, and the only addition that I made was that the 8 palm trees that you saw on the site visit, And we can certainly update this site plan that we have to include all of the trees that he has agreed to plant. I believe that the front of the office on Leon and Duncan, those have met code. We were just short on trees. And adding all of those trees along the north and east wall will bring us up to code.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'd like to continue this item if we could, obey it to the November Planning Commission meeting, because I'd like to come back out and meet on site and really understand additionally the plans and also give you guys a chance to reformat the drawings so they reflect exactly what's going to go on the site.
And you're speaking solely to the landscaping?
Yes.
Okay.
So would you be opposed to a 30-day abeyance for this project?
That's fine, sir.
All right. Other comments? Nope. I'd like to make a motion for abeyance on item, let's see here, where are we? Item
32?
24-0397, motion for abeyance to the November 12th Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
And Vice Chair Williams will be in contact, make an appointment to,
Yes, I'll reach out to Mr. Taylor.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 33, 240401 SDR1, Site Development Plan Review. Public hearing, applicant owner 120 West Owens Self-Storage LLC for possible action land use entitlement project request for a proposed 80-foot tall, 360 square foot illuminated freestanding sign on 2.39 acres at 2060 West Owens Avenue, C2 Zone, Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, per Title 19, a freestanding sign within 200 feet of Interstate 15 may be increased to a height of 80 feet with the approval of the Planning Commission and City Council. As the proposed sign adheres to Title 19 residential protection standards, staff finds it will not have a negative impact on the surrounding area. Therefore, staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you get your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Melissa Uri, EURE, 1055 Whitney Ranch Drive, Suite 210, here with the applicant.
Yep. Good evening. This is Russ Colvin with Your Space America, the owner of the project. When the commission first gave its approval to this project, we said this was going to be probably the nicest self-storage facility in Las Vegas. When it was completed, we're about to break ground on it. And I think that if you look at what we're going to build there, I think we're living up to that promise. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just as you can see, the aerial here shows where the previously approved self-storage site is. Quite clearly, here's the sign where the proposed pylon sign is, as staff stated. 40 feet is allowed by code, however, we can go up to an 80-foot height within 200 feet of the I-15, which is why we were here before you. Here you can see, again, the site, the pylon sign, going from the closest, going north along the 15. We have the photos here with the representation to show you what the sign would look like at that 80-foot. And then on the bottom row, it's again the closest going south. You can see the sign's barely visible. So at 40 feet, you really would lose quite a bit of visibility. Where Owens is right here, it's just an overpass, so there is no off-ramp or on-ramp right there at that side. So at that 40-foot, they would lose quite a bit of visibility unless you were specifically on Owens Street. At the 80-foot height, Owens, as well as those on the 15, would be able to see where the site's located. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I'll go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And understanding that this is actually going to go to City Council as well with an approval, and there may be conversation, or no? Is this final approval tonight? Okay. Well, unless there's further comments, I'm actually ready to make a motion on this item.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion on item 24-0401 SDR1. Motion for approval following staff's recommendation and subject to staff's conditions. And you agree with all the staff's conditions?
Yes.
So motion on the floor, please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman. That item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days.
Mr. Chairman, through you, that application, because it is an SDR requesting additional height, it does need to go to City Council on November 6, 2024. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 34, 24-04808 VAC1, applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for petition to vacate a public sewer easement generally located at the southeast corner of Jefferson Avenue and D Street, Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. Before we go to staff, I will disclose I'm involved in the project within the notification area. It doesn't affect me any greater or lesser, and I will be voting on the application tonight. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed vacation of an existing sewer easement is necessary to facilitate the construction of a previously approved trade school development, and the vacated sewer easement will be relocated in order to accommodate the new construction. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the petition to vacate.
Great, thank you. Is the applicant here tonight? It's the City of Las Vegas.
That would be Lucian.
Lucian, you're up. Yes.
Sir, we're requesting approval of various.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item's pretty straightforward, supports the development of the Education and Training Center, and so I'd like to make a motion on item 24-0408 VAC1. Motion for approval, subject to staff's conditions, and we do approve with all of staff's conditions.
You could change
We
your
agree.
conditions. Okay. All right. Motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
That motion carries.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm pretty confident this one is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days, but let me check. We're good? All right.
So good, too. Moving on to item number 36, 240412 SUP1, applicant Dark Sister LLC, owner Sung Il Not, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for proposed 2,315 square foot alcohol on-premise full use at 1410 South Main Street, Ward 3. Staff recommends approval. Before I go to the staff report, I will quickly disclose that I do have property within the notification area. Doesn't affect me any greater or lesser, and I will be voting on the application tonight. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the proposed land use can be conducted in a manner that is harmonious and compatible with the existing surrounding land uses. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested special use permit. Please note additional documentation of support was received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Natalie Bigler, 1032 Howard Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89104.
Could you spell your last name, Natalie?
Bigler.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us about the application?
It's just for a full alcohol use at 1410 Main Street.
Okay. All right, this is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Schlottman.
Yes, sir. Chairman, through you, I have no questions, no comments, no problems with this one. It's right down in the middle of the Arts District, right exactly what we're wanting to see down there, so wish you luck with your project.
Thank you.
Ready to make a motion?
Please do.
On item number 36, 24-0412 SUP1, I move to approve subject to staff's conditions, and you agree with all staff's conditions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries.
All right, that item is final action unless
Thank you.
appealed to the city clerk within 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 37, 240415, VAR1, applicant owner Cynthia Janice Agudo for possible action on the land use entitlement project request to allow a proposed patio cover an existing residential accessory structure that does not conform with Title 1906 development standards for setbacks on .25 acres at 5813 Fawn Avenue, Ward 1. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is the result of an open code enforcement case. The proposed patio cover and existing shed failed to comply with Title 19 development standards. Staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and outside the realm of NRS Chapter 278 for granting of variances. Therefore, staff recommends denial. Please note an additional document of protest was received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get your name and address to the record, please?
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Cynthia Agudo, and my address is 5813 Fawn Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89107.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, I did get a code enforcement for the proposed patio. The shed is an existing shed that was already on the property prior to us purchasing the property. So for the shed, pretty much it meets the requirements from all sides except for the left side. It's 2 feet versus the 3 feet that is required.
Okay.
And for the carport, it pretty much is, again, it's just pretty much for the shade for our home. You know, it's going to go ahead and provide shade for the car, prevent any damage to the vehicles due to the, you know, the weather here in Vegas. It is going to be sheet metal, aluminum, steel sheets in a protective coating to avoid corrosion, fading, and flame resistant also as well. And it is going to be within the 5 feet property from the sides, from the right and the left side, and along from 3 feet from the front property line as well. I did go out to my neighbors, and I did get additional letters of support also as well for the carport, and I just wanted to see if I
Yeah,
can.
would you like to turn that in? That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, anything else you wanted to add before we go to public hearing?
Pretty much on the shed, it's just, like I said, it's something that was already built there prior to us purchasing the home. And just for us to go ahead and remove that, it's going to go ahead and just the cost. You know, it has paved stones around it and the stucco and everything. It's under the 200 square feet, and it's just for storage purposes. Now, for the carport, it is, like I said, it's for the purpose of the vehicles, you know, and see if it can provide additional shading during summer and the harsh weather that we have here in Las Vegas.
Okay, thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. Good evening, ma'am. Let's start with the easy one. The shed, there's a lot of sheds in your neighborhood that are pretty much built along the property line, pretty close to it. So I'm comfortable with that. It's an existing structure. It's probably been there for a long time. But please note that our approval here tonight may not be the final thing that happens. They'll have to do the building inspections to make sure that it's properly built and that it's, I guess, fire rated. And if building can't approve it, you still might have to remove the structure. So I just want to be clear that even though I'm in support of the location of the structure, you may still have to take it down, okay?
Okay, so
All right.
it's based on the recommendations of the staff of?
Yeah, building will talk you
Building
through
will-
that.
okay.
Okay. With regard to the carport, unfortunately, I can't support it tonight. You're pretty much coming up right up to the front of the sidewalk there, or the back of the sidewalk. There's no other typical carports of that nature and of that size in your neighborhood. We often see these types of things in older neighborhoods, Ward 3, where it's really become the norm, but it's not the norm in your neighborhood, and I can't let you be the first and start that ball rolling in that direction. So unfortunately, I won't be able to support your application for a carport tonight.
Now, on the picture that we have where the city came out, the code enforcement, it does obviously show that I don't have enough from the front property line, but I am willing to conform to the 3 feet as suggested by.
Understood. I've seen the pictures. I can tell what the structure's going to look like. I can't support it tonight. So that's going to be my position, and we'll see how the Planning Commission votes.
Okay.
Are there any other further comments?
No.
Through the chair, I would just add that the slatted sheet metal component, it's not compatible and harmonious to the main dwelling and certainly the neighborhood overall. It's just not, it doesn't fit.
Thank you, Commissioner. I agree.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can you go back a few photos again, which it showed the photograph in front of the building? Not that one. Keep going, keep going. Next one. There was a photo that showed the front of the building. Could have been your, oh, here it is. What is that? Is that some type of structure already built?
Well, that was the proposed carport. So what happened is, again, the front of it, it is going to be pushed back. Now, the one in the middle is it was just for support, so they can go ahead and start it. The one on the right side, that's the one that's going to be brought in to allow the 5 feet from my property line. But other than that, it would be an attached carport.
Yeah, the only reason it caught my interest was because it was a few feet away into the driveway, or the part there where the gutter is turned in so you can pull in. That was my only question. Thank you.
Commissioner Rogan?
Thank you. So I think with regard to this application, if we could strike condition number 1.
Mr. Chairman, through you, yes, we would need to delete condition of approval number 1, or strike it.
And go ahead.
I'm just going to say, because it was publicly noticed, I would prefer it to actually say a denial versus approval in the condition, because it is multiple variances in the one application, so it's clear that the action letter says it's just specifically for what the planning commissioner is approving.
Okay, then we can revise that to read, a variance is hereby denied to allow a 3-foot front yard setback where 20 feet is required for a proposed patio cover carport.
Okay, ma'am, and you agree with all of the conditions as amended here tonight?
Regarding the carport?
I should say the remaining conditions, not with regard to the carport.
Okay, so the carport is, like you stated, it's a denial, but when it comes to the shed, that's the one that you indicated that I would have to conform with code enforcement and so forth, correct?
Yep, if it's approved tonight, you're allowed to keep it, but you still have to get building permits for it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, with that being said, then I'll make a motion for approval on agenda item 37, project 24-0415 VAR1, with the conditions as amended this evening.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action unless appealed to the city clerk within 10 days.
Okay.
Thank
If
you.
I do decide to go ahead and appeal, they would give me I would have to meet the setbacks of the front yard to the 20 feet is what I was understanding, or? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 38, 240423, applicant Contour Builders LLC, owner Decatur Lake Mead LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request at 2.16 acres located on the west side of Decatur Boulevard, approximately 1,000 feet south of Lake Mead Boulevard, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Related item 38A, 240423-0 from C1 to RTH. Related item 38B, 240423 VAR1, to allow a private street on private lots where a common lot is required. And finally, related item 38C, 240423 TMP1, for proposed 39-lot, single-family attached residential subdivision. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the property lines of the proposed townhome lots go to the street center line where a private street is required to be on a common lot owned and maintained by the HOA. This has resulted in a variance request that staff is not able to support. Therefore, staff is recommending denial of the rezoning, variance, and tentative map. Please note there is a blue sheet staff report in your packet with added comments from the Department of Aviation in the analysis, but that does not change staff's recommendation. And also, please note additional documentation of support was received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you wait your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Greg Borgel, representing the developer on this project. My address is 3747 Heritage Avenue in Las Vegas. Understanding the staff position, which frequently is not favorable to variances, there is a condition in the application's analysis that calls for the equivalent of the common area issue to be addressed by a homeowners association on the property. And we understand that this is not an attempt to get the public to maintain the streets or the sidewalks or anything else, but the manner of applying here was the simplest method of dealing with it is to simply incorporate as condition 4 from planning remarks in their comments on the variance. The simplest manner of doing it was to agree that the homeowners association will address all of these issues. In terms of the overall project, this is very much an area that is in transition on the major street. And in transition in a very favorable way. All recent construction, I think, has been at a higher standard on the street than what previously existed. And by on the street, I mean on Decatur. Furthermore, this fulfills one city priority, which is it is an infill piece. And getting properties developed by these smaller developers are one of the ways of producing a project that meets as much of the area as it can. And if I can just point out, the area in orange is all R3. Now, this is a true for-sale project before you tonight, so it isn't the same as the R3 apartments nearby. But in terms of density and opportunities for reasonable ownership, costs in the area, this is the kind of project that works. I live in a townhome myself, and there is a definite market for this project in the area as an ownership situation, whereas the majority of the other R3, as I understand it, is a rental product. So we're hopeful that you will see the same. We believe it's an attractive project as presented here. We understand the staff's position on the variance particularly, but we are substituting the condition of their, if approved, comments. And by the way, just for clarity, since you always ask, yes, we accept all of the if approved conditions of all the staffs, and we do understand the process of dealing with Reed International Airport and the requirements of the FAA, et cetera.
Thank you, Mr. Borgel. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone like to be heard on this? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Reviewed this project pretty extensively with Mr. Borgel, and I think initially there was just an oversight, not quite understanding, or maybe just not quite, really working through the condition 4, which does clarify the HOA would be responsible for the common area, streets, and sidewalks maintenance. So with that, I support adding additional housing. I think it is a good project. Area is in transition, and so unless there's further comments, I'm ready to make a motion.
Please do.
Like to,
Sorry, Commissioner Taylor.
I'm so sorry, Vice Chair, if I could just ask like a couple quick questions?
Please do.
Sir, okay. Sorry, I just want to note that this area is one of the higher urban heat island indexed areas. And so I was looking for your landscaping plan, and I just wanted to have you talk a little bit about what the tree cover is going to look like, if you can at this point on this project, so we can make sure that it's sufficient to minimize any urban heat island impacts from this development and for that area.
I'm of an age where I'm going to have to ask you to speak a little louder to answer the question.
That is a very rare thing that anybody ever has to ask me to speak louder, so I will take it as I'm being soft-spoken tonight. No, what I said was this is an area on the Urban Heat Island Index for Southern Nevada that is one of the higher impact areas. So my question for you as I was going through the project, I didn't see a landscape plan in there, and I'm probably just missing it, but if you could describe for me what your plans are to meet requirements for for trees, so that we can make sure that this project, which seems like a good project and appropriate for the area, is appropriate for the city's goals around urban forestry and around urban heat island reduction.
I understand the question, and the answer is I have discussed that with the developer and cautioned him that there may be additional requirements with respect to the urban commitment. However, these are townhouses, which provide, frankly, limited opportunities in that regard. And given the water situation, I would have to say that we've emphasized as best we can green space that can and would be used appropriately, but I don't have a specific alternative plan to present to you, but I have discussed it with the developer, and he is agreed that he would be attentive to that question.
Can I ask a question for staff? Is this item going to go to City Council? Is it required to? It is, okay. Then I would strongly urge you to have a further discussion with your client about making sure that there are efforts made to include the required landscaping and any green space to make sure that you're also meeting the city's goals for urban forestry in the 2050 master plan and working in an area that needs to have attention to urban heat island impact reduction. I would urge you to work on that before you go to City Council. Thank you.
Understood, and I would expect that we would be addressing this before we get to City Council.
Okay, thank you. And again, it looks like a great project and generally really appropriate for the area, and thank you for bringing more housing into the city.
Vice Chair?
Motion item 24-0423, A through C, motion for approval.
So motion on the floor, please cast your votes.
Chair, through you, just making sure it's subject to conditions.
Subject to staff's conditions, which I believe he...
Mr. Borgo did state that he agreed to all the staff's conditions.
Yeah.
Yes, if I didn't say it clearly, we accept all of the staffs, the multiple staffs, if approved, conditions.
Commissioner Kasama,
Yes.
All right, and that motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this will move forward to the November 6, 2024
Thank you
City
very
Council
much.
meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 39. Two more. 240431, applicant Richmond American Homes, owner the Isaacman Revocable Trust, for possible action on land use entitlement project request on 9.38 acres at the northwest and northeast corner of Alexander and Durango Drive. Ward 4, staff recommends approval on the GPA in the zone, the variance 2, variance 2, vacation 1, and TMP 1, but it recommends denial on VAR 3 and VAR 4. Related item 39A, 240431 GPA from DR to R. Related item 39B, 240431ZON1 from RE to R1. Related item 39C, 240431 VAR1 to allow private streets without a gate to not be built to public street standards where such is required, to allow no amenity zone on Florine Avenue where such is required, to allow 1.13 connectivity ratio where 1.30 is required. Related item 39D, 240431 VAR2 to allow a 6-foot retaining wall where 4 feet is the maximum allowed, and 12-foot overall wall height where 10 feet is the maximum allowed on less than 2% slope. Related item 39E, 240431 VAR3 to allow a 10-foot front yard setback where 20 feet is required, and to allow a 5-foot rear yard setback where 15 is required on lot 4. Related item 39F, 240431 VAR4 to allow a 10-foot side yard setback where 20 feet is required, and to allow a 5-foot rear yard setback where 15 is required on lot 5. Related item 39G, 240431 VAC1 to vacate a U.S. government patent and temporary construction easements generally located at the northwest and northeast corner of Alexander Road and Durango Drive. Related item 39H, 240431 TMP1 for a 23-lot single-family residential subdivision. Can we get the staff report, please? Did I miss one? No? I read fast. John?
Mr. Chair, before you move on to the staff report, I do have to make a notation that I'm going to abstain on this matter. This is one of those applications that falls into the interlocal agreement between the city and the county, and as an attorney for the county, I have a commitment to my client, the county, and so I can't vote on this matter, so I'll be abstaining.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogan. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, due to the unique shape of the lot and location of the drainage channel that intersects the subject site, staff supports the proposed project. The requested general plan amendment and rezoning are compatible with the existing residential development in the surrounding area. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested general plan amendment, rezoning, vacation, tentative map, and variances for retaining wall height and complete street standards. However, staff finds the requested variance of setback requirements to be self-imposed hardships and thereby recommends denial of variances 24-0431-VAR3 and VAR4. Please note additional documents of protest and support were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner. Stephanie Allen, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive, here on behalf of the applicant, Richmond American Homes. This property is a unique piece of property and uniquely situated between the county and the city, as well as unique in the sense that it's got some significant developable constraints on it, with a drainage easement you can see and a power line easement that goes through the center of the larger site. There's 2 parcels that are bisected by Durango Drive. This is Durango. Alexander is to the south. Everything to the north is within Clark County, and then the city is around the property. We very much appreciate staff's recommendation on the majority of the application. It is a unique site, and within the interlocal agreement between Clark County and the city of Las Vegas, you can see everything in gray is Clark County, and the rest of these colors are within the city. From a GPA perspective, we are requesting to change it to rural, which is consistent with the general plan to the immediate west of it. Also to the east of it in Clark County is planned and zoned for similar size 10,000 square foot lots. You can also see there's low density in the yellow around the property to the south and further to the west and east of the site. From a zoning perspective, immediately west is RD zoned property, immediately east in the county is RS10, so again, 10,000 square foot lots on the west and the east of the property. The application we have before you tonight is all 10,000 square foot lots, which I'm sure Commissioner Rogan appreciates because it complies with the interlocal agreement, and that's part of the staff recommendation for approval on the GPA and the zone change. There are half-acre lots to the north of us, and when I show you the site plan, we've done quite a bit to buffer those half-acre lots. This is the county map, just so you can see the zoning for the county with the, as I mentioned, half-acre lots, and then this is the RS10 with the 10,000 square foot lots in Clark County. The site plan that's before you is a total density, it's 23 lots, a total density of about 2.5 units to the acre. So well below what R1 zoning would allow. The R1 zoning was simply requested for setback purposes because we are trying to put large 1-stories on as many of these lots as possible. But from a density standpoint, we're at 2.5 units to the acre or under that. And again, as I mentioned, a minimum 10,000 square foot lot size. This is a unique site plan because obviously we've got significant constraints with the drainage and power easement right through the center of the site. So we have a number of different access points, one off of Florine Avenue, one off of Alexander, and then one off of Durango. And an interesting lot configuration. The highlighted lots are the lots where we are putting 2-story homes. We had a neighborhood meeting, and at that neighborhood meeting, the residents made it clear they very much would appreciate all 1-stories. Richmond American would also very much prefer to do all 1-stories, I can tell you that. However, because of the constraints on this property, there are a few lots that are going to require 2-story homes. Still very large, very expensive homes that we're proposing on these quarter-acre lots. But these 5 lots, you can see this dotted line is the easement area. So it literally cuts these lots almost in half, and you can't develop structures within that easement area. So those will be the rear yards in those 5 lots, and these will have large 1-story homes on them. Also, lot 3 is a shallow lot because of the cul-de-sac, so we can fit the 2-story home on lot 3. There is a 2-story home immediately adjacent to it, and there's 2-story homes to the west as well. But the rest of them are all 1-story. It's the big Robert and Rocco product for Richmond, which are beautiful homes, and then the Dillon is the 2-story. These are $1 million homes, so really nice, beautiful homes on these sites. The 2 variances that staff is actually, before I get to the variances, I do want to just quickly show you, while I'm on the 2-story topic, everything in green here are other 2-story homes in the area, and so I do think that's appropriate to bring up. So I mentioned immediately east of it, there are some 2-stories. Immediately west, there are 2-stories, and then to the south, there's quite a few 2-story homes as well. So I did want to bring that up. The 2 variance requests that staff is recommending denial on, I have to first commend your staff, and Nicole in particular. She was at the neighborhood meeting and allowed us to submit these variances rather late. The reason is that was at the request of a neighbor at the neighborhood meeting. They very much wanted 1-story homes on these lots, and we were able to accomplish that only with the requested variances for those 2 lots. We do meet in a non-traditional sense, the front and the rear yard setbacks, but these are oriented sideways, these lots. And so you can see I've highlighted here, each of these have 30-foot front yard setbacks from a practical standpoint, but the setback from the city standpoint is from the street. Also, they have rear yards that are 27 and 29 feet on the rear. They're just oriented sideways. So those 2 variances, that's the reason for those 2 variances. We also were able to add a request to defer streetlights on Florine Avenue sort of late after the neighborhood meeting, and your staff has approved that deferral, so we appreciate that. That was at the request of the neighbors. They'd like to keep it dark, and so that administrative deferral was granted on Florine Avenue. The neighbors had asked for several pieces of information after the neighborhood meeting. I did email out this lot fit to them with an explanation on which lots would be 2-stories and which would be 1-stories, also on the added variances and on the street light request. I've had some dialogue since then, and there was an additional request to do some landscaping buffers along this northern property line. So Richmond is willing to do that. I brought an exhibit to show that, and I can certainly work on a condition. I don't have one before us tonight, so I apologize. I did not hear back from the neighbors on what types of trees. I was hoping to have that response. But we are willing to plant trees 30 feet on center here to buffer the homes to the north, and do 24-inch box trees with the tree of their liking, whatever that tree is. They had asked that we gate the community. Richmond does not want to gate this because it would require 3 different gates, or maybe even 4, to gate the community. With 23 homes, that's a significant burden for an HOA to maintain and pay for 3 to 4 gates in a community. The variance that we have that references not gating a private street has nothing to do with a requirement that it be gated. It's simply that the private street sections we have typically you have a gate with a private street. So we have the street sections for private streets, but we do not have gates for that very reason, and staff supported that because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have gates on all of these streets. Not to mention we would have some significant queuing issues with gates on those streets. Our internal private streets do have rolled curbs. I know that's an important request of this commission, so we do have rolled curbs on those private streets. And the last piece of information that was requested was there will be a shared wall along this northern property line as well as along the northern property line over here. I did provide the CCNRs to one of the homeowners, a standard set of our CCNRs that does anticipate that homeowners, when they share walls, maintain their sides of the walls, and if they cause damage to that wall, they're responsible for fixing that. So I think we've come quite a long way with the neighbors. Generally speaking, they were happy to hear it was 10,000 square foot lots, 1-story homes for the most part, and a density of 2.5 units to the acre. I think there's a few of them here that are going to say they'd still prefer it be all 1-story. Unfortunately, we can't make that work on this plan, and they're probably going to tell you that they want gated streets. But with that said, we'd very much appreciate your approval tonight. I can continue to work with the neighbors on those trees between now and City Council, and what species they'd prefer if they do want that tree buffer. With that said, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Come on up. We have 3 microphones. I'll need your name and address for the record if you're for or against, and I'll give each person a couple minutes to tell us why.
Jim Myers, M-Y-E-R-S. I'm at 8493 Wolf Mountain Court, which sits directly north, where we're talking about that tree line. I'm directly north of that with some other homeowners. I'd like to start off by saying that Ms. Allen's representation of the meeting with the homeowners was not quite as positive as it's represented. Number one, I'll say, is that some of the information that's been provided to the homeowners was not as complete as it is now. We asked for the site plan that actually laid out the footprint of each house. That wasn't available when all the homeowners. We had about 20 homeowners at that meeting. That was prime. We couldn't see how the homes would sit on the site. The biggest issue is yes, we don't want 2-story, because if you look at the development, we're talking about the developments on the one side, but we don't mention the developments, Elk Ridge Estates and some of the other developments that are near the site, that a lot of us purchased in those areas because we had that rural residential feel to the entire community. And all of us thought that's, living in the Northwest in that area of town, that would be maintained. In fact, when I bought my home, this area, I called the city and was told that that area where the power lines were and everything would remain that rural residential, so 2-story homes would not be something that was considered. So to apply for this is really not what most of us want. I can speak for that. The idea that the HOA, we did confirm, and I appreciate Stephanie confirming that there was an HOA, and the common walls issue, yes, we've worked out. But the gated issue, I think, is Richmond American trying to cut cost. The fact that those gates, and I don't believe you need 4 gates, and I don't believe you need 3. I think you can look at it. But many of the communities that are around there are gated communities. And certainly we know that when people are looking for a home and it's a gated community, you're going to anticipate paying more for that home. It's part of an upgraded community. To have those lots next to us that are not gated, and the fact now that we're finding out just yesterday, and I apologize, I was traveling, but signs went up on the property stating, if I'm correct, 10-foot front yards and 5-foot backyards. And that was, to my knowledge, not discussed previously with the homeowners. That makes those lots not anywhere near the surrounding lots around this development. And it will dramatically affect the values of our homes. It'll dramatically affect the quality of living that we live there. Many of us have put a lot into our backyards and development of our properties. And to think that that's going to be allowed is just not acceptable. The other thing I wanted to point out, there was some issues pointed out about streetlights. I saw the plan today that we finally got there still, and maybe that's a correction that needs to be made, but there are still streetlights on Florine on the latest plan that would basically put a streetlight right in the back of our neighbors, and our backyards would be lit up by a streetlight. All the neighborhoods in that area have never, and I've lived in several areas in the Northwest, have not had streetlights. It's been that on the streets, yes, on the major streets, but not inside the residences. And Florine becomes the major issue on trying to address that. So with that, I'll defer to my neighbors.
Thank you. Need your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Russ Swanson. I reside at 8461 Wolf Mountain Court. And in the best interest of saving some time and not being repetitive, I would just state for the record that I agree wholeheartedly with the statements and comments from Mr. Myers.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Brooke Dickerson, 8375 Florine Avenue, 89129. And I'm speaking about across the street from where we've had previous comments. So we're looking at the northeast property where they're looking to put in 5 houses. And we are the shared wall that's right up against the 2 homes that they're looking to make the variance for 5 feet from the wall. So I would say, I think our biggest concern is, as was mentioned, the 2-story homes. That property that we now own, my parents bought and built in 1990, 34 years ago. And we have watched the county get variance and variance and variance over the years. As I've been there since the beginning, before Durango began, when I was in middle school. So it's a little disappointing to see all of the variance changes out there. I am grateful that it's not a 7-Eleven going in behind our house. That has been a concern for all of our years out in that area. But having the 2-story, and it is true that there are 2 stories right next to the lots where we're looking at. We weren't aware, we were never made, we didn't get any of these mailers because it wasn't directly to our property. But that 2-story, I see it from my yard and they see us. I'm sure if I see them, they can see us. So having a 2-story even closer in the cul-de-sac directly behind us, it's disappointing and a little bit disheartening, having been in that area for so long, to watch this happen. However, my biggest concern would be those 2 houses that are right up against our property line where we share the wall. I would be for those being close to our wall, 5 feet from the wall, and a 1-story rather than having a 2-story home there, where I'm looking from my backyard to a massive house where they're watching my children play. So, is there anything else I need to cover?
I think that's it. I'm Neil Dickerson, same address, 8375 Florine Avenue. The only other thing I would say is, when I look at the plan, we live, our backyard, that intersection there of Alexander and Durango, there are accidents that happen at that intersection all the time. We're out there playing in the backyard and we hear cars like crashing at that intersection all the time. So my concern is, from a safety standpoint, if you build another road right there coming off of Durango, just north of Durango and Alexander, my concern is that it's going to create another hazard. It's already hard for us to get off of Durango onto Florine, because we have to brake as soon as we get in there, and people are screaming down Durango. So if you move that road even closer, I just have some concerns that there's going to be a lot of accidents there. So.
Yeah. So I don't want to say that we wholeheartedly disapprove. I think it's nice that the homes are nice homes, but those are our concerns about the project.
I appreciate you coming out to express them. Thank you. Thank you all. Anyone else like to be heard from the public? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing, ask the applicant to come back up for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify a few things, I'm going to start with the setback request. So the setback request reduction is only on lots 4 and 5. So we'll meet all of the required setbacks on every other lot, but on lots 4 and 5, they're oriented sideways. So the reality is they will have the required setbacks, but it's located sideways as opposed to towards the street. So, and the only reason we submitted these 2 variance applications was at the request of the Dickersons to put 1-story homes on there. So the footprint of a 1-story is larger than a footprint of a 2-story. We originally had these 2 lots as 2-story homes, and because they asked for us to try to do 1-stories there, that necessitated the variance. It says 5 feet, but that's a side yard, and 10 feet here, but that's a side yard. It's not a front yard. The front yard will face each other, and the rear yards will face east and west. The rest of the lots all meet the required setback requirements. To address the streetlights, I did email out, and unfortunately, it sounds like there's still a misunderstanding. We did obtain an administrative deferral from staff to not do streetlights on Florine Avenue at the request of the neighbors. So that has been approved by staff, and we asked for that after the neighborhood meeting. The lot fit analysis, normally I don't bring these to neighborhood meetings because usually builders don't prepare these lot fit analysis with exactly which home is going to go on which lot. The neighbors asked for it, so Richmond American prepared it, and we sent that out at the request of the homeowners. So yes, that was not at the neighborhood meeting, but I did email it out to the emails of the folks that were at the meeting. The gates, again, there are multiple streets. These do not connect. That's part of the variance with the connectivity, is because of this drainage and power easement, the property is bisected. So the lots up here all access Florine Avenue. So if we were to gate it, we'd have to put one here and potentially, I guess, here. Over here, we'd have to have a gate off of Durango, which you wouldn't have the required queuing for a gate off of Durango. And same thing with Alexander, you'd have to have a gate over here. So Richmond is not trying to spare costs by not doing the gate. It's just unfortunately not practical on this site to have gates, but they still will be very expensive, beautiful homes, whether they're gated or not. And then the 2-story, I understand their request for the 2-story. There's no zoning code that prohibits 2 stories, to my knowledge. 2 stories are allowed in this zoning district and zoning category up to 35 feet in height. That's why you see it around the property. Unfortunately, views are not protected in Nevada under Nevada law. But we have done, I believe, a good job of buffering these homes to the north by providing 1 stories on all of this section here, as well as now 1 stories on this if the variance request is approved. The 2 stories we're proposing are adjacent to existing 2-story homes. So we think that's appropriate and compatible for the area. I think that answers their questions. The one comment about traffic and accidents, we'll have to do a traffic analysis. I believe that's a condition of approval. And so to the extent that we're required to do anything at this intersection or contribute to anything from a traffic standpoint, of course, Richmond will be doing that. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any questions, and we'd appreciate your approval.
Thank you. We'll turn it over to the commission, to Commissioner Kasama.
Thank you, Chair, and sorry I can't be there in person, just a little under the weather, but I'm glad that the applicant was able to clarify with the administrative review that there are no streetlights. And I understand that the easiness of this parcel with that drainage, that they're, to pencil it out, that there has to be 2 stories. They are in the southwest. They're not directly bordering the northern neighbors. I appreciate the landscape buffer. If possible, perhaps I would like it instead of the 24 to be the 36-inch box trees. But you have answered most of my questions, and I do not see, I understand the concern already stated, and I don't see a need. But I'm happy to turn it over to the Commission if they have other questions.
I don't see any lights on. I'll just say, with the street lights, so there's not going to be street lights, but you still have to contribute to that fund portion, right? So.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But that's been eliminated. In the last floor plan that you sent out, does it show the removal of those lights?
No, there's really nothing, well, I don't know if it's on the, I think I just sent them the lot fit analysis.
Okay.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. So.
All right. And it's notating the single stories where you pointed out.
Correct,
for us on
yes.
record?
Yep.
Okay. No, I didn't have any further. Oh, Commissioner Taylor?
I just wanted to make one comment, and that's just that I've had an opportunity to see some of those Richmond one-story models that would be going on, and they're really such a nice product. So that's just my one editorial comment. Thank you.
And I think before I go back to Commissioner Kusama, it sounds like there's still the landscaping in that, I guess, is it north, that we're looking at north section, that you are able to work out between now and City Council, or will work with the neighbors specific to that? So.
Correct, and I did hear Commissioner Kasama, we're happy to do 36-inch box if she wants those. I have not gotten feedback on the species of the trees, if the neighbors, I mean, I know they've got beautiful yards, so if there's a specific species they want, we're happy to do that. I don't want to suggest a tree and have them disappointed with that, so I'm happy to work with them between now and City Council and work that out.
All right, Commissioner Kusama?
Oh, Mr. Chairman?
Oh, excuse me.
Through you, just really quick, just wanted to clarify, condition 14 of the tentative map only requires a pedestrian analysis. There's not really going to be there's not going to be like a traffic study for vehicular traffic. It'll just be a pedestrian analysis. Just want to be clear about that.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
And Commissioner Walsh?
Yeah, I had a chance to go over this at the briefing in detail, the changes that were made. And I think they have made significant changes to meet with a lot of the community needs. So I'll be supporting the project today.
Thank you. And Lucian, at what point do you go back and look at the vehicular side of things?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's more of an operational issue, and it's probably, I don't really have a good answer for you on exactly when we'd go. The project wouldn't trigger, I don't think, like an accident history report at the intersection.
Okay.
We have our areas in the city that we know are high intensity network where accidents occur. I don't have that map in front of me right now. I'm not sure if this is one of the areas identified as a concern or not.
Is it something you could look at between now and the next meeting?
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be great. Thank you. Commissioner Kusama?
With that, item 39, 2431, and 39 subsection through H, subject to the conditions that the applicant does agree to.
Can you agree to the conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Rogan? Commissioner Kasama?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, that item is going to move forward to City Council on November 6th of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 40. noting that I want to thank the marshal for staying with us tonight. It's much appreciated. Thank you. Item 40, 240432, applicant owner Canyon Walk LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on 515 acres located on the terminus of Centennial Parkway, west of Clark County 215, Ward 4. Staff recommends approval. Item 40A, related item 40A, 240432, GPA 1, from, excuse me, it's been a fun night, from DR to PCD. Related item 40B, 240432, 0N1, from U to PD. Related item 40C, 240432, DIR1, regarding the adoption of the Sky Summit Development Agreement between the City of Las Vegas and Canyon Walk LLC. Related item 40D, 240432, DIR1, regarding the adoption of the Sky Summit Park Agreement between the City of Las Vegas and Canyon Walk LLC. Related item 40E, 240432, VAC1, petition to vacate a BLM right-of-way grant generally located at the terminus of the Centennial Parkway west of Clark County 215. Related item 40F, 240432, VAC2, petition to vacate public right-of-way generally located west of Sheep Mountain Parkway and south of Doral Lane. Related item 40G, 240432, VAC3, petition to vacate a BLM drainage right-of-way grant generally located at the terminus of Centennial Parkway west of Clark County 215. And finally, related item 40H, 240432, TMP1, for a proposed 24-lot subdivision parent tentative map. Can we get the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fred Solis for the record. The proposed master plan community is consistent with the goals of the 2050 master plan and provides an orderly arrangement of land uses, provides a variety of housing types, and encourages area-sensitive site planning and design adjacent to the Red Rock National Conservation Area. The 515 gross acre site has a maximum build-out of 3,500 units with an overall density of 6.8 units per acre. The community will include a connective park and trail system, which will also serve as a gateway to the adjacent public lands. The site is in conformance with all development agreement requirements outlined in NRS 278, as well as all Title 19 requirements for the proposed planned development zoning district. Staff recommends approval of all entitlement requests, subject to applicable conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you put your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name's Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing Olympia Companies, and we have one of the executives from Olympia Companies here, Mr. Chris Armstrong, to answer any questions I may not be able to answer. First of all, I want to say thank you to your staff. There are many members of staff from planning, public works, city attorney's office, city manager's office, and so on. We spent probably a good part of the last 7 months, 8 months of going through the process, and I'm here today to go through a few hundred of the pages of the development agreement, and which I have here, and I can go through to educate you on what we went through over the last 7 to 8 months. It was very painful of a process. There was a lot of fun. But nonetheless, I could go through this if you'd like. But actually, I look at it, I know you've been briefed. I can, but what I'm going to do, though, on a more serious note, is just give you the orientation of where we're located for the property and just get into some high-level strokes with respect to the development. Representing Olympia here, personally, I've represented them on a lot of these master plan communities here up in the Northwest. Very proud to stand up tonight, along with Chris Armstrong, who's here, to go through, just to let you see what's been happening in this area. So far up to the north here is the Paiute Reservation. This is a 940 acres that Chris Armstrong and myself are working on behalf of Olympia Companies with the city up in this area, which hopefully you'll see us come through with the development agreement at some point in time in the next year or so. This area here highlighted in yellow, this location here is Sunstone, which was a part of the original Sky Canyon. Sky Canyon is located here, and Olympia and I were able to negotiate one of the amendments to several amendments to the development agreement for these two master plan communities. As you know, Sky Canyon is fairly almost built out. Sunstone is under construction, and people are living there also. So we're excited excited about these two communities that are already online. As you go further south down here, this is known as Sky Hills. This is another project by Olympia that is another master plan community. So now you have Sky Canyon, Sky Hills, and then tonight, that's before you, is known as Sky Summit. Sky Summit is a 515-acre piece of property that is before you tonight with the planned development. This is a part of the master plan community. As I focus in a little bit more on the project that you see here, this is a true mixed-use type of development for a master plan community. You're going to have a variety of segmentations of residential development. You're going to have commercial development. We're going to have some parks and trails. One of the highlights that I do want to mention is in this community, we will have approximately 36 acres of parks and trails. On the site that I'm showing you here in this green area, this will be one of the focal points of the park area. It's going to be, at the end of the day, it will be a city park. We will be making a $20 million contribution there. We'll be working hand in hand with the city with respect to theming this park area here and building and constructing this park in this area. On top of that, you have an additional 16 acres of property that currently we're in the process of theming and planning for other amenities within the community that we're proposing. And then as part of the agreement here, as you can see, this road network here, this is what is the Sheep Mountain Parkway. As part of our development, we will be in here working with the city to construct this area here, so you have full connectivity from the north to the south part of the valley. So that's another one of the big benefits that you're going to get here outside of all the great housing that we're going to be providing. And again, I want to thank your staff in all seriousness. These things take a lot of work. A lot of cooperation. It's a public-private partnership once again, and on behalf of Olympia, we're excited and proud to present to you another great future master plan community, and we look forward to doing more of these in the future.
Thank you very much. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Come on up, sir. Need your name and address to the record, please. If you're for or against, and why?
Hi, I'm Walter Sipe, 6556 Corsory Ridge. I lived in Sunrise Manor since 1995 and moved to Sky Hills just over a year ago.
Sir, I missed your name. Could you give it to me one more time?
Walter Sipe.
Walter?
It'll be on the paper I give to put with the record.
Thank you.
Okay. I definitely support the two agreements. I can't find the one that I hope was made for Sky Hills, as the current management company seems to ignore city ordinances, and I have no references to cite when disputing our HOA differences when they conflict. Of course, I wouldn't like the construction that will take place in the not-too-distant future, as the traffic of possibly 4,000 cars associated with the 3,000, now higher, number of homes funneled into and traversing Centennial Parkway to Shumber Road. But I'm most interested in drinking water. The assurance that the vacation of the BLM ROW granted in 2005 to ensure potable and firefighting water delivery to our neighborhood is hopefully not one that is proposed. I believe that the 10 million gallon water reservoir that was that purpose was relocated from its previous position on the Sheep Mountain Parkway to its current location on the west end of Centennial. It is about 700 feet from Sky Hills and within that 515 acres. Planners must have concluded a few years ago that 10 million gallons was not enough, as a similar tank was added about 2,000 feet even further west, but still along Centennial, and it is within that Canyon Walk acreage. Although I cannot confirm it, a person evidencing some knowledge of BLM directives states that there is a mandatory setback required for construction near water reservoirs. I'm also interested in rainwater. I noticed that proposal to vacate a BLM drainage right-of-way. I've looked at that trench picture you saw. One use is to channel outflow from the Kyle Canyon detention basins. It seems to me that this outfall water would be joined by the increased rainwater flow due to construction of hard stand and roofs. I followed the possible flow and saw that it would empty into the proposed location of the Can 10 detention basin, which was proposed in 1993 and part of a 10-year program, which was to start in 2003. The Sister Ann Road Basin was constructed. Since both the county and the city's plans include use of the streets for channeling rainwater, and this water runoff will flow down Centennial.
I have another minute for you, Walt.
And I know I'm addressing all 7 of those items.
Well, okay, but I give everybody 2 minutes, so you
Okay.
have another
So
minute.
that should give me 28 minutes, something like
Yeah.
that? Okay. I also thought it was the Department of Transportation that had the primary decision-making authority for right-of-ways. Almost finally, I point to the 2014 BLM biological opinion that identifies that this now Canyon Walk Lane was being a habitat for the desert tortoises. Finally, I've glanced through the Las Vegas 2050 Grand Plan zoning. It doesn't forecast any changes in Sky Hills or Canyon Hills region of Las Vegas. Thank you for listening, and I'd like a copy of this attached to your minutes.
Please, thank you very much.
And I got this 2 days ago.
Is that the notice that you're turning
Yeah,
in?
it's two okays and 2 nuts or goods.
Okay, and so, Walt,
Appreciate
just so I'm clear, are you for or against the project?
Oh, I'm in favor of the agreements. This is going to go through. You figure $9,000 for each one of those houses for the city in taxes? Of course it's going through.
Well, just wanted to make sure I hear you.
Oh,
on
I
the
was a
record.
real estate broker back in Maryland, so it's,
Have a nice day, thank you. Mr. Gronauer, I'll give you a couple minutes if you need to respond.
What I'll mention is I appreciate the gentleman's comments with respect to some of the infrastructure here. With respect to the water, we've been working very closely with the Water District in regards to making sure not only are we going to be supplying water to our community, but we have other obligations out there as we work with the Water District as far as building the facilities. You already have 2 facilities that the gentleman mentioned. I don't know if you have on the overhead here that you will see in our master plan community. I believe he was mentioning these one or both of these facilities that are already located there. So with respect to his other concerns with drainage and all the traffic matters, that's all a part of our master studies within the development agreement. So we are required to go through the study process for your traffic, for your drainage, for your water. And so all those technical studies as we're coming through this process are being done. They're already being reviewed by the city, by your city staff, and some of them are approved with some conditions. Some of them are being reviewed, is my understanding. But nonetheless, all those issues as we get ready to build in this master plan community will be addressed. And that's why I wanted to mention to you about the Sheep Mountain Parkway in this area here, because the irony is but for us building Sky Canyon, Sky Hills, and Sky Summit now, you would not have the Sheep Mountain Parkway in this area here to connect the north to the south in this geographic area. So we believe that this is a big benefit when you're having a development like this to come in, because as the trade-off is as we went through the BLM process to purchase this land, to sit down with the city, there is a give and take in these negotiations, and there are some exactions in this process that we are bringing and giving not only just here to the city, but to your constituents that will be a benefit to this area. So hopefully that addresses some of those issues, but we're more than willing to take the gentleman's name here and continue to talk to him as we go through this process, because it's important to make sure everybody's educated and understands what we're doing out in this area.
Yeah, and thanks for addressing those. And before we'll turn it over to the commission, but I think one of the other things he mentioned, and I don't know if I have it correctly, was setback from BLM land. Isn't there something on the far west side that you did have a setback?
So if there's anything and I should have mentioned this in the presentation, so to the west and to the northern boundary in this area here, we are adjacent to the Red Rock Conservation Area.
That's what it was, okay.
And so one of the agreements that we have in the discussions with in this agreement is that we are providing a transitional type of buffering in this area. It's a minimum of 20 feet. We're looking to put a trail in this area. So in the buffering to the Red Rock Conservation Area, as you see here, these areas will be having that transition buffer to the Red Rock Conservation Area. So that is something that your planning department in our negotiations strongly held on to as we negotiated, and we agreed to it somewhere in that process to deal with the edge conditions, and that's was dealing with Mr. Lowenstein and his staff.
Great. I will turn it over to Commissioner Kusama.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry. Thank you, Chair. And regarding this item, I know that the Councilwoman's office and the applicants have been working on this for many months, as was discussed, and appreciate the effort. Would also appreciate if there's follow-up with the gentleman that gave his comments on the record. But this is quite a substantial application, and unless there are specific questions from the rest of the Planning Commission, I'm happy to move forward with an approval.
I don't see any lights on or any comments from any of the, nope, don't see any. Please do.
Okay, with that in mind, then I will make a motion to approve 4024-0432, and that's including subsections 40A through 40H, subject to staff conditions.
And you agree with all staff's conditions?
Yes, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Kusama?
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
This item will move forward to the November 6, 2024 City Council meeting. Thank you.
All right, moving on.
One comment. I'd just like to just reiterate what, this is Chris Armstrong with Olympia, just reiterate what Bob was saying with staff. We spent a lot of time, working with staff, and just appreciate all the efforts that staff committed to the project, and we look forward to developing the project here in the next 18 months to 2 years and starting. So thanks very much. Appreciate it.
That's exciting.
Everybody's help.
Thank you very much. Final items, 41, citizens' participation. Bob, if you want to stick around. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to the matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion of any single subject as well as the amount of any time single speaker is allowed may be limited. Seeing no one, Employee of the Month, do you want to say anything? No? No? Okay. All right.
How about the marshals? You get this public?
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.